studying the source now. Supreme elite. New Empire talk. Came on reading numbers, they were reading memes. He was reading filings, planning out the dream. Turn every late fee into case law heat. Judge bang gavel, he don't skip a beat. They like how you flip stress into assets. How you turn a loss into last check. Thomas took notes, broke codes, then he proved it. Now the classroom global and the language fluid. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme elite team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay build to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. Supreme elite team university. Turn the credit score into currency. Turn the closed door to a first key. Turn a side job to a legacy. He beat odds, then he beat litigation. Now we teach law like a new translation. From confusion into consultation. From survival into foundation. They log in, lights on in their eyes now. Section this, call that. They reply now. He like, know your rights, then apply.
You're rocking with the best.
You know,
Rocking with the best.
I believe that people kind of get it mixed up with movement versus progress. And I believe that many people are so desperate for progress that they believe rejection is a sign of progress. Like, for example, when a court rejects their filings or the administrative agency sends them a correspondence rejecting their filings and then informing them that many courts have ruled against the same claims or documents or instruments that they're sending. Instead of reading the rejection for what it is as a rejection, they'll look at that as some part of a win, meaning, oh, you see why they rejected it? Because they really know the truth. Oh, you see that response there? The instruments. See, they recognize it's an instrument. You get what I'm saying? So they're finding every little thing to grasp on, to hang on to prove that they're making progress. But in reality, they are stuck on the proverbial treadmill. And many people share this same fate. They believe that they're making progress because they're moving, such as going to the post office and getting certified mail stamps, or such as filing this document and sending this there and mailing that there. They believe that because they are doing the acts that translates into progress.
You're rocking with the
many
best.
people refuse to accept the fact that their foundation was never built on proper understanding, proper teaching, proper interpretations. Many people's understanding comes from these biased confirmation literature that has been passed down, and which the courts and these administrative agencies do not recognize. See, one person can say this is the law, but another person can say, well, what about the law that the courts recognize? See, it's not about the law that you think applies. It's about the law in which the courts recognize, whether it be the regular trial court or the appellate court. What many people do is they tend to take their version of what they believe the law is, and then they want to transpose that on the court system in a manner in which they believe the court should recognize their version of the law. And for the odd reason that I still can't figure out is these same people will never turn the mirror back around and hold the mirror up to themselves. Because in their mind, they believe that they're right based on
You're
how
rocking
they
with
see
the
the law,
best.
based on what they spent money on, based on the things that they believe. They believe the law must work this way for the sole purpose of this is what they are invested in. They're invested in this version. And since the courts and the laws and the administrative agencies don't recognize their version of the law, then they must be wrong themselves.
You're
The person
rocking
who
with
is
the
asserting
best.
these interpretations of the law, they rarely ever look at themselves and say, hey, what if I got it wrong? Because admitting that you got it wrong means that you will have to admit that your foundation is weak, you're back to square one, there was never ever any true understanding there, and then you have to start all over.
You're rocking with the
For
best.
some people, starting over won't be a bad thing. But for many people, starting over is not going to be well accepted because many people always thinks there's this proverbial time clock in which they should get their remedy. Many people never condition their mind towards the situation at hand. Many people expect something to come quick and fast. So they're not conditioning for a 6 month, 8 month, year, 2 year mark in which, especially in mortgage
rocking with
cases,
the best.
it can drag on. Many people are only prepared for the immediate win. They don't have legal stamina and to continue to battle and continue to stay within the confines of the laws. Many people do not know how to continue to engage back and forth from a legal standpoint. And this is where you'll see
You're
cases
rocking
start
with the
out
best.
as defending against foreclosure, but they quickly turn into wanting to see the judge's qualification, the judge's oath of office, lawsuits in the federal courts against the judge who ruled differently against them. Many
You're
people
rocking with the best.
who's taking that course of action will tell you that the judge entered a default judgment, a void judgment at that. And without any confirmation from the higher courts or the judge issuing an order voiding that judgment for good cause, they believe that the way they see the law and the judge saw the law different, that gives them ground to conclude that the judgment is void.
You're rocking with
See,
the
this is where we
best.
get into people practicing interpreting law in the manner in which they see it as most beneficial to them. And the courts are supposed to see it the same way, or unless the judge is wrong. So this goes back to my original point. Many people, although they're making movement, still hasn't progressed anywhere, because ask yourself,
You're rocking with the best.
the original goal in your foreclosure, your original goal, how closer are you to that goal from the time you started, from the time you went to that guru, from the time you filed the first document? How closer are you to that goal today? We live in a space and in a world where only the positive gets highlighted and none of the hardships
You're
that comes with
rocking
understanding,
best.
the losses that comes with understanding, none of those things are highlighted as well. So it gives this false sense of confidence that when you join a certain space or follow a certain teacher, that everything automatically converts into a win. The reality of that is these wins are not being
You're
broadcast
rocking with the
to a point
best.
where it becomes widespread, to the point where many people are showing up with testimonies with satisfaction of liens and titles to their homes or their properties. In fact, the only wins that you will see is a technicality win or a lawsuit brought under the FDCPA, not because the person who's bringing a lawsuit has actually won or settled off the merits of their case, but because of the behavior of the company who was attempted to collect the debt.
You're rocking with the
Now,
best.
that mindset within itself gives me great cause for concern, because in order for you to even have a claim to bring, you have to stop paying, you have to wait to be sued, and then you have to catch them making a mistake during the course of their cause of action and their litigation brought against you. That is still a reactive, defensive position and mindset. That is what I call the consumer mindset and or the defaulted borrower's mindset. Anybody that solely bases their whole identity understanding consumer law is only confirming that they have a consumer mindset. It's only confirming that they think like a consumer. They don't think like a corporate finance entity. They don't think like a SPV. They don't think like the issuing entity. They don't think like an investor, and they don't think like a regulator,
You're
like a
rocking
regulatory
with the
agency.
best.
They don't have the mindsets. Why is only having a consumer mindset so detrimental? Having a consumer mindset is detrimental because you don't understand the transaction from an investor level. You don't understand the transaction from a corporate finance level. You don't understand the transaction from the regulatory level. And you really don't understand the transaction from the legal standpoint. And because the person who's bringing a lawsuit has actually won or settled off the merits of their case, but because of the behavior of the company who was attempted to collect the debt.
You're rocking with the
Now,
best.
that mindset within itself gives me great cause for concern, because in order for you to even have a claim to bring, you have to stop paying, you have to wait to be sued, and then you have to catch them making a mistake during the course of their cause of action and their litigation brought against you. That is still a reactive, defensive position and mindset. That is what I call the consumer mindset and or the defaulted borrower's mindset. Anybody that solely bases their whole identity understanding consumer law is only confirming that they have a consumer mindset. It's only confirming that they think like a consumer. They don't think like a corporate finance entity. They don't think like a SPV. They don't think like the issuing entity. They don't think like an investor, and they don't think like a regulator,
You're
like a
rocking
regulatory
with the
agency.
best.
They don't have the mindsets. Why is only having a consumer mindset so detrimental? Having a consumer mindset is detrimental because you don't understand the transaction from an investor level. You don't understand the transaction from a corporate finance level. You don't understand the transaction from the regulatory level. And you really don't understand the transaction from the legal standpoint. And this is why when you see consumers attacking their finance companies or whatever, You only see them attacking them under the FDCPA. They don't know how to argue unless it's an FDCPA. They don't understand how corporate financing works to be able to break down the corporate finance company structure, understand the regulations that governs these transactions, understand why the company is not following these regulations, and understand why, if they would follow the regulations, what would be the outcome as a matter of law. They don't understand the contract as if they were an investor and the true risk that these investors incur when investing in these securities. They don't understand how the courts actually looks at these contracts from a legal standpoint. So without the other four lenses of the contract, the only way you are viewing the contract is through the lens of a consumer or a defaulted borrower. When you have the mindset of a consumer, then you think that everything from the accounting, how they book these instruments, from the investors to the regulator, everything is all based on the consumer contract. They think that the accounting is going to be based on the contract. See, when you understand the five lenses of the contract, you will understand that everything that's represented on the contract is never how it's accounted for. It just never works that way. And we talk about these things night in and night out, and my Supreme Elite team will set you. This is nothing new. But it's actually dangerous when you don't capture the essence of this system and are only looking at it through the lens of a consumer mindset or the defaulted borrower's mindset. Now, this is the reason why you will only continue to see teachings under the FDCPA. The borrowers, the defendant, the debt buyer, the plaintiff. It's extremely difficult to give advice to a consumer that is both current and the plaintiff, because they don't have the FDCPA crutch to rely on. And when you remove the FDCPA from these spaces, that's just like removing the heart from your body. A lot of people in these spaces are conditioned borrowers. They are conditioned consumers. They don't know how to think like a corporate finance company. They don't know how to think like a SPV. They don't know how to think like an investor. They don't know how to think like a regulator. They don't know how to think like the judge. And why? It's because the same system that they're trying to be free from is the same system that gave them their identity in the first place. And that identity is a consumer. Now, before I go, the name consumer has taken on different names throughout the years. First, we were called consumers of corporate debt. And then consumers of debt. And then just the consumers. So the role of a consumer is to incur the corporate debt. That's the role of a consumer. So when we talk about learning your consumer rights, no matter what statute you look up regarding consumer rights, the only thing that you're going to learn is how to be a defensive and reactive litigator. Never a proactive and being on the offensive. Everything that you do and what you will continue to do will be from a reactive standpoint. You're never going to push the issue first. You're going to wait to be sued and hope they make mistakes with their documents. In my world, you don't survive that way. And it's evident because when have you ever seen a FDCPA win with the mortgage or auto? Why is it that when they talk FDCPA, it's only dealing with credit cards and debt buyers? That is because they have a consumer mindset. And even worse, a defaulted borrower's mindset. Two recipes for...
You're rocking with the best.
They studying the source now. Supreme Elite. New Empire talk. Came on reading numbers. They were reading memes. He was reading filings. Planning out the dream. Turn every late fee into case law heat. Judge bang gavel. He don't skip a beat. They like how you flip stress into assets. How you turn a loss into last check. Thomas took notes, broke codes, then he proved it. Now the classroom global and the language fluid. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. Supreme Elite Team University. Turn the credit score into currency. Turn the closed door to a first key. Turn a side job to a legacy. He beat odds, then he beat litigation. Now we teach law like a new translation. From confusion into consultation. From survival into foundation. They log in, lights on in their eyes now. Section this, call that. They reply now. He like, know your rights, then apply now. God, that's the real drip. Let it dry now. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. Wave it. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. From the bench to the block, he reversed that. Put the power in the pen, yeah, he birthed that. Every mind that he frees, that's a verse that. Whole culture on the rise, you can search that. Hey. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the blueprint. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan.
Supreme Elite Team
You're rocking with the best.
Class in session 2. We don't just read that fine print, we read back at where it's done. From the court to the boardroom, one team, move is one. Get the ledgers line, mad tight, balance sheets in our sight. Know the rules, know the players, we stay ready for the fight.
Yeah.
You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best.
We are back in the mother flipping dude. New culture empire. And you know I'm a part of a fast growing movement that is about to take over these airways.
The untouchable empire, baby.
You better know it. If you ain't know,
The untouchable empire, baby.
So, before we get started, give me 1 second. we have, I want to introduce guests to the stage. She is one of the matriarchs of this movement. She is a pit bull. She is a pit bull now. She get on your ass now. She will get on your ass. Welcome to the stage. She get on your shit now. Don't bullshit around her. Sometimes I gotta be like this, like, okay, do I say anything? Do I let her? I think I let her go. I don't want her to turn it on me. You got it. Welcome to the stage, Natural.
You are
She get on you there.
wild.
What's going on, Natural? Looking good, looking good, looking good.
Hey, how are you? How are you, Mr. Thomas?
We are good, Natural. Of course, we finished the last leg yesterday. Well, not the last leg, the part. And God damn it, girl, I got about 7 more pages I gotta add to the report. I didn't want to do it.
Ooh, yeah.
I know, but I have to. I have to.
Hey,
I got about 7 more. I got 7 more pages that I'm adding to tonight. So when we resume tomorrow, man, this may turn into a 2-week thing. But you know what? I believe it should, because there's just things that you just can't not know. But we're gonna get into it in a second. This is my young gun, my young pit bull. He is on it. He
Ali.
studies. He comprehends. He has the mindset. And he is 15 years younger than me. I wish I had this mindset when I was his age. Probably
True.
wouldn't went down the path I did. Probably wouldn't have to do 8 years in the feds. I wish. Welcome to the stage, Brother Ali.
Gratitude, 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 man. Gratitude to y'all.
Good. What's good? As y'all
All
can
is
see,
well.
I'm chilling today.
Yes, sir.
House clothes on. I'm chilling. This is about understanding, because as y'all know, tax season is approaching.
Absolutely.
It's fastly approaching. And y'all know that y'all, you know, when every time tax season comes around, record show previously listed a tax season runs around. Y'all do know that people going to start coming out the woodworks with it's like another hustle. Hey, tax season, come on, come pay come get this process from me.
Right.
Everybody is looking for tax season. Everybody's looking for the taxes. Everybody's looking. That's
I come
for a
up.
lot of Americans. That's a nice lump sum for the end of the year, and as they should. They
You
work
feel
hard to pay taxes as they should. You know, I helped remix my wife's tax return because she didn't know about the new big beautiful bill that just came out. So I said, nah, what are you filing? Nah, we about to file. Hold on. The big beautiful bill, baby. You ain't here? Now let me attach a few schedules to this.
Oh,
So instead of
man.
getting 10 back, she got 15 back. She got
Wow.
15 back already.
Yeah.
And her return came back in 7 days. I said,
Hey.
Mm. Mm.
7 days.
Wow.
She blinked and it was there.
Right.
So of course, you know, she had to break Big Papa off.
That's what I'm saying, as they should,
Hey,
man.
if you owe me, know me. Same thing
Okay.
with her. Put it here.
Yep.
And then I gave 50% back to her. Here.
Oh, look
I
at
didn't need it.
you.
I
That's
didn't need it.
real, man.
I didn't need it. I didn't need it. I don't need her. She know I don't need it. I didn't need it. But it's more like, I done pay about 90% of these bills all year. So she threw it, and in my mind, she gave me too much. I said, nah, here. I'm gonna take this little here. You go ahead and do your thing with
Do
that.
your
'Cause
thing with
now,
it.
now you ain't gotta ask me for shit.
Oh
Uh-huh.
no, wait, no, 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 sir.
you ain't gotta ask me for shit for the next few months. Nah, hell nah. You got it. Hell nah.
You know
But
what I'm saying?
you know
Nah,
how
for
it
real
is.
though.
They're gonna keep their money and gonna spend your money. But y'all know how to, I mean, it is what it is. 1 second, y'all.
We can't kick wifey to the curb. No,
Nah,
sir.
nah, nah, nah. She's good. She's secure. She's on all my documents. She's part of the beneficiaries of all my shit. So anything happens to me, she's gonna be straight. She's gonna take care of the kid. Like I said, I got two 500,000 life insurance policies that her and the kids. My mom is on there as part of the sole beneficiary just to manage shit. She's actually y'all know I'm the sole executor of my mom and them's estate.
Yeah, yep. I remember.
Mom and dad, they left everything out of they got 6 kids combined. So my stepdad had 3 kids. My mom, she had 3 kids. When they got married, like we was all in our 20s. They're grown. So out of all 6 kids, they left everything to me. So they actually had the
Mm.
lawyer at the house, and I had to sign the documents. And they trust me to manage everything correctly. Out of all 6 kids, they said this, I'm the only one that they could trust to lead this property. They in the $800,000 home now. It's going to be $1.2 million in
Oh, the
2027.
appreciation is
Hey,
what?
yeah.
Not the next couple of years, man.
Not the house. They left everything, the 401ks, the retirements. They just left everything in my name. I'm like,
That's assets, brother.
oh, no, they left
Well,
everything.
that's trust. That's
Yeah,
Exactly.
trust. They understand who
Exactly.
you are, and you are the best one for the job. So yeah,
yeah.
that's
And you're
trust.
also competent to manage such affairs as well.
You already know my thing is this. It was left to me, so I'm going to put myself in a position to leave it around. See, it's supposed to pass down.
Yes, sir.
Pass down,
Exactly.
to pass down. All of my kids are already the beneficiaries of it.
Yeah, that's
I leave,
beautiful.
I leave out and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to pass down
Exactly.
generations. It's supposed to pass down, pass down. And one of the things that the mindset and what I teach from, I don't teach from the mindset of I'm just trying to help someone get out of a debt. Or I'm trying
Right.
to help
Mm.
someone in case, or I'm trying to help someone get free money back. No, my mindset is if I can help someone achieve an actual asset outright, own down, that is not only their bargaining chip with the world, but it's actually something that they can pass down. Because let's address the elephant in the room. In the Black community, y'all, we know this is a big problem.
Mm.
Mm.
No, my
It's a
goodness.
major problem. We don't have anything that we're leaving behind to our offspring.
Nothing at
So
all,
my
man.
right. So my job, what I believe the main focal point is we know the immediate debt is part of the equation.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be the debt being erased. That's part of the equation. So I don't need to focus 100% on that.
Exactly. It doesn't just got to stay there. You know what I'm
You don't
saying?
got to stay there. I'm looking at the bigger picture, like these people's mortgages. How can I put myself in the best position to put them in the best position where they can get the title back? Not just, hey, we won. Forget that. Forget that. Wins and losses come with life. I'm talking
Mm.
about they now have something that they can actually leave behind. They have a bargaining chip with the world, a asset with the world. Remember, as us consumers, cash money, credit card, debit cards, that's our money. to that world, bargaining chips, assets, rights to receive payments, receivables is their money.
Absolutely. And they leverage it as such too.
And they leverage it. They don't leverage Federal Reserve notes in the corporate world. They leverage security interests, rights to receive
Absolutely.
payments. That's the money in their world. So when I start to look at that from a broader standpoint, my bad, y'all. My sinuses is whooping me in the ass right now. No, for real. I think my sinuses actually knows I'm about to go live because before I go live, it's cool. As soon as I go live, every time, like at the same time every day. So besides that, so
We
my
feeling.
angle is the bigger picture. Now, when we get around to the taxes, right? It's tax season. Everybody is going to be filing some form of a tax return outside of the normal W-2 earned child tax credit, yada, yada, yada. People are going to be filing taxes on whether it's their bank deposit,
That
whether
contract.
it's their contract, whether it's their auto, whether it's their mortgage, whether it's their
Insurance. Whatever.
well, I haven't seen too many people filing insurance, but and anything I'm gonna say credit card, autos, and mortgage, right?
Yes, sir.
Many people are going to be filing their tax returns based on those. And many people are going to be filing 1099Bs. Many people are going to be having withholdings. Can y'all? I hear background withholdings, and what I'm trying to get people to understand in the event that that does take place with the tax class that y'all been in for the past few days. The tax
Remarkable as
class,
always on a class by class basis.
appreciate you, broski. I just want y'all to number one, I would like for y'all to give your honest, don't tell me what you think I want to hear. From your own standpoint, from your own words. Don't tell me what you think. Y'all know I hate that shit. From your own words, from your own standpoint, I would like y'all to give y'all thoughts on the tax class so far, because y'all been in it. You go first.
Okay, well,
Now you go
Okay.
first, natural. Now you go first, natural.
okay. So I would say that I appreciate how the breakdown happens because there are a lot of nuances that just your average everyday does not know. And just being able to know that they are there. And then deeper than that, knowing how it can apply, and not just can, but does apply, but what you actually have to have as evidence and proof, um, and explaining your position uh, to the IRS. That is something that like I use often with you, which is life changing because it in fact is. It's not just about having this knowledge, this information as something to have. This changes the trajectory of life for you while you are here and also for family. Even if you know, like, and you don't have to fight about it. You don't even have to invite them into it. You just do it because now you have the information,
Right,
and more so than the information, you give us the understanding. You
right,
grill us and stay on our tops. Like, do not make a move unless you understand this. And doggone it, like you said earlier with your wife, like, yo, if you owe me, know me. You can always pay
Right.
to get it right, but sit your
Right.
butt down in the back seat and shut up while it happens. So pay how you weigh.
Right.
But again, just having the breakdown, it stops anxiety, it stops wondering, and you play for the long game. And
Now, let me
I
ask you
mean,
this. Let me ask you this
yeah.
question. Do you think that from what we've read, what we went over, what we expounded on, do you think that the way I'm presenting it is a more of an accurate reflection on how you think the IRS wants to see it, or is it more of just my process and what I think you should do?
No. This is definitely how the IRS sees it. And we know that, and anybody with half a brain knows that because that is your source. You don't go outside. You literally stay right there in the publication. We are reading it line by line by line. And then it's more than looking for buzzwords that, we may have heard out in the stratosphere. It's recognizing those words meaning and being able to decipher when the IRS is saying the same thing without using those words. So that's
And
invaluable.
what about
Hmm?
this part? This was a good part. What about this part? When the IRS states that, because we're not gonna make pretend that the IRS doesn't know that these securitized transactions, when these transactions are securitized, we're not going to act like the IRS doesn't know that these companies are reporting these transactions differently than from what they're supposed to be reporting them. Like they know
Hmm.
how they're supposed to be reporting them, right? And the
Right.
IRS, and we went over the fact that the IRS tells us, hey, just because they call it interest, just because they call it dividends, doesn't mean it's actually that. And if
Right.
you feel that the transaction does not match the economic substance, then you have to provide us this, and this is
Hmm.
what we accept, and
Hmm.
this is what we will look at it as. And if you file this and explain this, then we will look at it like this. Do you think the way I broke
Hmm.
that down was a accurate depiction of how the IRS wants to see things and how they view things, or was it like a still more questions than answers?
No. One thing about you historically that has been consistent, there are several things, but you, if you are going to share your thought or your belief or a feeling, you label it as such. And then you also say, this is what I think, but I don't know. I'm going to check with whatever, whatever. But
Right.
when you do that, you still present the source straight from the horse's mouth. So this is not a pie in the sky belief system. This is not a brilliant deduction. This is actual factual right there from where it came from. So there's no room for deviation from that. And I appreciate how you stick to that. If there's something that you think, again, you give a preface like, this is what I think, I'm not for sure. Uh I'm gonna
I'll
check
check
up
back
on this.
with
But
y'all
this,
in the meantime.
yeah,
I'll let the knows and I'll let y'all know, because y'all do know
yeah,
that tax class was put on hold for like 3-4 months,
yeah.
the last part, because
It
I
was.
knew, right, like 3-4 months or something like that. I knew because I knew that there was a piece, given the complexities of these transactions, I knew there was a piece that we were missing, like a piece. And I thought I found the piece. But then, you know me, I always like to use my resources. So I reached out
Mm,
to a connect whose aunt works for accounts management. in the Texas Department of IRS. So I reached out to him. The same things like when y'all ask me questions to clarify. Hey, yo, run this by her. This is what I think first, right? And let me know if is this correct, and if it's not, point me to where I could find the right answer. I said I never want them to just give me the answer, because when I'm gonna practice what I preach. If I just get the answer, then I don't have the understanding of how that answer came to be. I won't be able to explain it. I won't be able to stand on it. And I think that many people are looking for answers instead of understanding. I think if we
Yeah,
start to
and
look
that is
for
the difference.
right, 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 because if we look for understanding, the answers become prevalent. They become more
Right.
easier to figure out. Now, Ali, I want your take on the tax the classes dealing with the tax treatment for securitized transactions thus far.
Absolutely. Yep. So, in a nutshell, with you and the wonderful lady here, Natural, we're just expounding on pretty much, pretty much the difference between how you teach it versus how any other person would teach it. Is we go into not just solely what you think, but based on all the governing aspects that govern these transactions and things of that nature as well. So not only we go through the regulations, the interpretations, what I'm saying, and everything like that. We also, we also you also go into exactly how to apply it, why it applies to you,
Ali,
the who, what, when. Oh, my
one
bad.
second, Ali. There's background noise. If you can get to a more quieter place, and if y'all could
Yeah,
be on
yeah,
camera, if y'all could be on
probably
camera as
good.
well, that would definitely help with the quality of the
I
of the
apologize.
stream. Yeah.
Real
All right.
quick.
Yeah. No problems.
Give me one moment.
Yeah, yeah. Take your time. But yeah, as he's getting himself together, one thing that I've even learned from this class, that it's a bigger tale. One thing that I realized with the IRS in the treatments of these transactions, one thing is going to expose, and I think both of y'all can agree. One thing that is going to expose is that if you don't understand securitization, you're going to miss a lot of the core elements with the IRS tax laws, because a lot of people throw us around securitization. They throw it out there. And the basics understandings of securitization is the packaging and pooling of illiquid assets and converting them into bankruptcy remote liquid assets, meaning they don't have to wait 30 years to get paid. They can get paid up front on these instruments now. That's the baseline. But when it gets down to the structuring of them and the waterfall and the cash flow downstreams of the securitization, that is more the part of the IRS is going to be looking at, because the IRS is a system that deals with the administration of tax laws, meaning in order for John to get a refund, Timmy must either have paid the taxes into the treasury, or we look at the transaction as if Timmy were to have paid the money into the treasury. John doesn't get a refund just because John files a tax return and puts a withholding. There has to be actual payments, or the IRS looks at the transaction as if, hey, this payment was supposed to be made, or this payment was made, but we're going to give Johnny the credit for the taxes that this entity paid. Those are the two questions. Did they pay it directly on your behalf, or the payments that they did make, are they going to give Johnny the credit for these taxes? If you cannot answer those questions, to the IRS, you are not getting a refund that is going to stick.
You're rocking with the best.
Yeah, you're not getting a refund. And if you do, like you just said, that going to stick part, that can quickly come right back and you get and you get a penalty. Like don't play. Don't play. So it's the importance of linking up with the right teacher is evident because class tax class aside, that's our focus right now, but tax class aside, historically, just on the time that you've been on the internet, man, there's a reason why we call you the teacher's teacher. There's a reason why you have that title. It's because nobody even was interested. Nobody even knew about these. And certainly nobody was talking taxes before you came on the scene introducing that. And so it's imperative that if people would like to uh just do better in their life, man, you gotta be careful of who you link up with, and there's just nobody doing it like you.
Well, I would look at it like this. There's a lot of people that are teaching along the same lines as me, but I believe the 100% the difference between me and a lot of people is it's not the fact that I had nothing but time. So my years of studying is going to be different from a lot of because I could devote 12 hours a day, 15, 10 hours a day, damn near all day. When you're in the real world, it's extremely difficult to do so. Not only that, the bigger part that I think that separates me from the rest is that I didn't have the mindset that the people that are up there are my enemy. I looked at those people up there as my allies. I looked at those people that sits in those professional positions as the ones that I need because those are those they bridge the gap between okay, we done a lot of studying. We read this, we studied, we researched, but even me too, we still don't know how it's applied behind the scenes because a lot of these things, y'all remember, bro, it's internal accounting. It's their internal accounting model. This company's accounting model, they may not do it the same. It may be similar along the overall economics, but they may not do it exactly the same. So with me understanding that, that's why I made it my business to not just study one, not just to study two, three, four, five, study dozens and dozens of corporate accounting. So once I have broad information and numbers, like Westlake, they do their accounting and their structures different from credit acceptance. You get what I'm saying? UWM's is going to do theirs a little different from US Bank. But all the core elements, that's what I teach from. Everything that's universal across them all. And this is why in SETU, the regulatory lens is so important because it tells all of you, they look down, all of you, if you
Have to
didn't do the
operate in
transaction,
that way.
right? If it didn't do it like this, you're supposed to do it like this. You're supposed to account for it like this. You're supposed to report it as this. So now with SETU, we get not only how they account for things with the classic examples, we get how they're supposed to account for. So now that we know that there's a difference between how they account for these items and how they're supposed to account for these items, now we get to figuring out why they don't account for these items the correct way. And once we figure out, like we've been doing, why they don't do it, now we understand where their exposure lies. Now you got something to hide. There's a reason why you don't want to account for it like this. There's a reason why you don't want to be straight across the board with it. There's a reason why you're misclassifying these items. There's a reason why you're not reporting all the income. There's a reason why you're not giving the borrowers, you and I, credit for the taxes that you paid with our own money. It didn't come from your own pocket. It came from our money. There's a reason why you're not giving us credit. So that comes full circle when we get to the IRS tax time, because when we get to the IRS tax, as y'all read yesterday directly from the regulations, the way we was breaking them down, you do know that when it comes to these transactions, the IRS is flooded with securitization lingo. Flooded with it.
Sure. Yeah. But even Ali yesterday, he was coming with the regulations based on some of the previous classes that we've had that you pointed out.
And that was
And
good shit by
again,
Ali.
yeah, man, he comes in clutch, man.
Hey,
And even like nuances like using the word of versus in versus from, things of that nature change the whole trajectory of every single transaction we enter into. So again, pausing to reflect on what that actually means for us individually. um i don't I appreciate your humility to a certain extent, and then I also appreciate, when you be like, yeah, I'm that shit, because the bottom line is there is information, there is knowledge, there is understanding, there is competence, and then there's execution. While there might be a lot of people that delve into this for a money grab, yours just is not that. Yours is for changing just the knowledge on the paper into actual ways
Execution.
that we apply it. Yeah,
My
execution, and not to get a backbiting from that, but execution, and it gets you in the door and it's successful. Like, I don't
most
know about
definitely.
anybody else, but I'd be lying if I told you that's not what I'm here for. I'd be lying.
I mean, who's not? Like that's the whole thing. Who's not? Nobody is doing this shit for the sole purpose of just knowing. You want to execute and you want to benefit from it. They're financially, legal, whatever you want to benefit for. Remember, that's the whole part when I say when we play the game, we play the game to win. Do you think I really want to make a 629 a month car note payment for the next 5 years? Do you really think I want to?
I don't think
Yeah,
nobody.
not if you
No.
don't have to.
If you don't
Right.
have to, why not? I mean, I was prepared to do it, but who wants to? Like, let's be honest. Who really wants to pay a fucking bill? I know I don't. I get cranky every time bills are due. I get cranky. I don't. I hate paying them. I hate them. I get it, but I understand the big picture. So now my whole thing is I don't care why you doing it. If you could tell me, yo, I'm just doing this to get some money, or I'm doing this so I ain't got to pay a bill. I don't care. I don't care because nobody is coming here in these days just for study and learning the way life is. So if you don't want to pay a bill, here's some background. I'll even mute you for a second, bro. Oh, you go ahead, mute out for a second. If you don't want to pay a bill, y'all notice with me, use me for example. Y'all notice, I told y'all know this is the last payment I'm making to them. I'm not paying these people no more. I'm not paying them. Hell no. But the difference is, I didn't just say I'm not paying them anymore without being able to stand on it and justify it from a legal standpoint. Not the way I think it's legal, not the way I think that how they're going to look at it, not the way that I believe from a legal standpoint, something that the finance company can recognize and what the courts are going to recognize. That's the difference. It's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. The IRS don't care about what you're trying to get back. It's about how you're doing it and are the taxes satisfied? If you can't answer that question definitively, you're going to have a hard time with the IRS. So I got some videos that I want to go over. And this girl from TikTok, she's actually pretty good. I actually follow her. Actual good videos. So we're going to go over these first parts, and then we're going to give you analyze. We're going to analyze it and give you our take on it.
Be a little late in the season, but I wanted to cover some really common tax scams. Some of them happen every year, some of them are new. But you need to be aware of these because I see people fall prey to them all the time. The first one is what I'm going to call ghost tax preparers, and they're always out there soliciting how that they have a special way to get you a bigger refund. And a lot of times people don't understand what they're doing to get that bigger refund. And I've seen it over and over where they will have them claim to have a business, a fake business, and they'll write off all of these personal expenses, their mortgage payment, their rent payment, all of their utilities, their car payments, and it'll cause a big loss on their tax return, which reduces their other taxable income and then gives them a bigger refund. And returns like that are often audited. And once that happens, and if you try to, even if you have documentation, which most people don't, most of these expenses are not deductible. So they're all going to be disallowed, and you're going to have to pay back all that refund, plus probably additional tax, plus interest, plus 20% penalties. And then guess what? The preparer is nowhere to be found to explain what happened. And most of the time, these tax preparers are not legitimate. They don't sign the tax return, they don't put their name on it, and they don't have a PTIN. So anytime you pay someone to do a tax return for you, make sure they sign their work and make sure they have a PTIN, which is like your tax preparer social security number with the IRS. Now, beware that even if they do sign the return, they may be in trouble, but you're still on the hook for whatever's owed. And if someone's offering to get you a bigger refund, make sure you understand the how and why they're doing that. In the next video, I'm going to talk about all these scams over the internet that talk about filing other fraudulent tax forms in order to get a big refund.
You're rocking with the best.
One of the key things and elements that she said, and this is just the first one, one of the key things that she said is that these tax return. Oh, I'm sorry. Put us. Hold on. These. Ho. I done got us all discombobulated, didn't we? I done got us all. Hold on. Where y'all at?
We here.
What's the original one that we did, man? Where the original one that we did? That's crazy. All right, we're gonna do it like I don't want to do it like this. We're gonna do it. I guess I don't know how we had it in the original one. Somebody help me out. I guess we can.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So one of the things that was prevalent with her, she said, is that these tax return preparers, and that's one of the things that people have to understand, is that these people are coming in and tax preparers, but they're never around to explain, oh, okay, this went wrong. Okay, we're gonna fix it, we correct it. They're never around. As soon as you bam, they're never around. And this is where I get a lot of people that come to me for the mistakes that other people's made. I had to clean up someone's mistakes where they had them paying $10,000 to the IRS, where that income wasn't even taxable under the IRS laws. And this was a professional they went to. Before we continue,
professional meaning that they had that P10.
Yeah. But before we continue, shout out to Big Q.
Yo. I made it.
What's up, Q? What's up, broski?
What's going on?
That ain't nothing, broski. Hey, listen, man, I understand the shit with the Ford, man, but we gonna scalp him on the back end. You hear me?
Hey, it ain't over with yet.
We still in the fight, and you gotta give me an update. I don't ever like to call a fight before it's over, but but that's one of the things. Y'all, Q, he's another member of the Supreme Elite team. Everybody's up here. Everybody that's on this stage right now, they are with me several nights a week, so they can attest to it. And one thing that I notice about these spaces, it's hard to pull the wolves over people's eyes that's been around for a while. Y'all know, y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all been around for a while. Y'all tried shit. Y'all done shit before. Yeah, y'all ain't stupid. So since we talk about tax season, the main things that I believe when I got from the video is the IRS could care less about what your position is and what you're filing. They don't care. You could submit a return for $3 billion. They're not going to care. The only thing is, are you using the forms correctly in the manner in which we understand the forms to be used? And if you are not, and that's one of the big things from class last night, if we are not filing them consistent with the reporter, the other reporter, then we must inform the IRS why we're taking a different position. And this where it gets to the what? The substantial authority. What authority are you using to say that your mortgage transaction was not a traditional loan? What are you using? And that must go on its form, in which we'll go over, which we going over and set you. In the tax mini series, because we talked about it. We talked about the regulations.
Absolutely.
Right, because the default position with the IRS is that you were in a traditional loan. That's the default position. If you believe that this was a securitized loan in which it changes the relationship between you and the lender, then you must inform them of that on the correct forms. A securitized transaction in tax returns is not just filing the 1099-B, the little 8949, and attaching a contract. This is not pandemic era. This is not 2020, not 2021, when they was just giving people refunds because they ain't even want to be in the office them damn selves in the pandemic. They was want to get in it and get the hell up out of there. So this ain't that. It's not 2022. It's not 2021. It's not 2020. It's not early 2023. If you cannot substantiate the tax treatment of the items of income that you're reporting and what you're seeking a refund from, I don't care if you got to check off the break, an 846 refund. The IRS is going to double back and check to see whether payment was actually made on that account for that item of taxes, which would allow you to get the refund. Because natural, you was in the group. Remember, we went to the Congress, broke on how Congress says when the borrower and the corporation together, and how would the borrower get their refund from a corporation? Remember, one of the biggest things that they said is they show their receipts, and if the receipts are in line, and if the receipts are in line with the rules, they're going to pull the credit from the corporate
From the
tax return
corporation.
of the borrower. Right. This is back in 1943. Right. I got y'all 1 second. 1943. So that means in order for us to get a refund, either the corporation had to pay the taxes on our behalf, or the taxes that they pay, the IRS is going to give us credit because we actually economically bore those tax liabilities, right? So the IRS, they don't just refund you from the treasury account. They refund you by pulling the credit from the corporate taxes returns and their tax receivables accounts. That's how they refund you. The government doesn't give you nothing. Shout out.
Yeah, so that's why
Dude,
you better make sure that those two line up and that you have your substantial authority.
telling you, that's how they work. But shout out to the two brothers that never feel any pressure when it comes to these online gurus. Shout out to Darren and the brother T.
No pressure, nah. I ain't feeling no
What
pressure.
up,
I ain't stunning
though?
her, man. She wanna get on top shit. I'ma let her.
Shout out to you, brothers.
I appreciate that. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
What's up, T? We got Darren in the building. Darren went Hollywood on us, y'all. Darren in Hawaii. He brought a house out of Hawaii. He been in Hawaii and shit.
And I ain't mad. Go ahead, Darren. That's what you're supposed to do, bro.
Damn, you ain't fuck with us no more, man. God damn, let me hold something for the strippers. Get it. T-Dot on his he's definitely on his grind too. Hey T,
I'm at your favorite place, man.
you better know it. Let me get that. Get that.
My mom-in-law, she just bought a G-Wagon.
Can I have that? Oh, you say you at my favorite place.
Yeah, your favorite place. You
What
see the
place is that?
album? Hold on.
Oh, the Mercedes Benz. Oh, yes, sir.
You know, they got a Maybach right over there for you too.
Oh, nah, I'm not spending no money on that right now.
Yo,
Hell, nah, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm in a hole like down there 20,000. I gotta recoup. I had to put out so much money lately. Absolutely not.
I'm over
yo,
here
y'all can hear
trying
me?
to make you do the wrong decision.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
we can hear you, Darren. We
What up,
got
Hey,
D?
you.
Dan. That's what's up,
Yo,
though,
what up?
bro. What's up, Dan? Hey, Dan, I was just saying, man, Dan moved to Hawaii. He bought a house out of Hawaii now, so Dan ain't
You did?
I wish.
Nah, your background saying otherwise.
Hey, man,
That's what I'm saying, bro.
when
Every
you're part
picture's
of
from the oceans
hey,
and shit.
when you're part of the Supreme Elite team, you kind of move different. You know what I mean?
You better know it.
Big
You
facts.
know?
Better know
100%, 100%,
Yeah,
thousand
you
percent.
move different. Now you move different over this motherfucker. So we was going. I'm gonna play the first video back, and we're gonna go through the other ones. I'm gonna play the first video back for everybody, just in case you missed it, because we're breaking down. This girl on TikTok. I follow her. I follow her because she's very realistic. She's just like me. What the rules allow, what the rules say, and if the rules don't allow it, we don't do it. I don't give a damn what the guru says. You transpose the guru on what the IRS says, and that's how they get a lot of people, because many people don't understand the IRS tax laws and the rules. And y'all, that's not a slight. We read that shit yesterday from the IRS taxpayer advocates. They're too highly complex, aren't they? Remember, they said it's too confusing. They're stuck in the ancient time.
Absolutely.
They are highly complex to understand. It took me 4 years to start understanding the IRS tax laws, because I realized that what the IRS says in their regulation, they be meaning different things. It don't really be meaning what they say, because a lot of the definitions that they give, they're always taken from another section. They always cross reference too much. So the definition of financial income, for example, they may use the definition from section 531, section 1.531. That I'm just giving a random example. But we're in section 1.7203, and they're using the definition over there to substantiate the definition that they're using here. So now we got to go back to 531 to get the context of what it means there and transpose that context over there. Y'all know that. We break it down. And it took me 4 years to understand that.
A little late in the season,
Yeah,
but I wanted to
and I
cover
want to
some
pause
really
right
common
there.
tax scams. Some of them.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I want us to pause right there, because again, if it takes a Lamont Thomas 4 years, then certainly somebody who is not immersed in this like you are should give themselves some grace and time. You know what I'm saying? You don't just jump out there like that.
I always tell y'all, don't feel the pressure to rush. Don't feel, and I hate when people feel the pressure to rush this, because when you take your time, no matter what hardships you're going through in life, you see that light at the end of the tunnel. And when you finally get there, all that stuff that's transpiring now is not even going to matter. I don't want nobody to rush. What did I tell y'all yesterday? If you still don't understand and you can't stand on it, what did I say? Don't even file it. Q, your device is not connected, bro. You gotta be able to connect before we start, bro. For whatever reason. Let's go.
I might be a little late in the season, but I wanted to cover some really common tax scams. Some of them happen every year, some of them are new. But you need to be aware of these, because I see people fall prey to them all the time. The first one is what I'm going to call ghost tax preparers, and they're always out there soliciting how that they have a special way to get you a bigger refund. And a lot of times people don't understand what they're doing to get that bigger refund. And I've seen it over and over where they will have them claim to have a business, a fake business, and they'll write off all of these personal expenses, their mortgage payment, their rent payment, all of their utilities, their car payments, and it'll cause a big loss on their tax return, which reduces their other taxable income and then gives them a bigger refund. And returns like that are often audited. And once that happens, and if you try to, even if you have documentation, which most people don't, most of these expenses are not deductible. So they're all going to be disallowed, and you're going to have to pay back all that refund, plus probably additional tax, plus interest, plus 20% penalties. And then guess what? The preparer is nowhere to be found to explain what happened. And most of the time, these tax preparers are not legitimate. They don't sign the tax return, they don't put their name on it, and they don't have a PTIN. So anytime you pay someone to do a tax return for you, make sure they sign their work and make sure they have a PTIN, which is like your tax preparer social security number with the IRS. Now, beware that even if they do sign the return, they may be in trouble, but you're still on the hook for whatever's owed. And if someone's offering to get you a bigger refund, make sure you understand the how and why they're doing that. In the next video, I'm going to talk about all these scams over the internet that talk about filing other fraudulent tax forms in order to get a big refund. I might be...
Now, one thing that stuck out, she says, if someone is telling you how to get a bigger refund, make sure you understand the how and why. Well, that's exactly what we're going over in our tax mini-series class on these securitized transactions. The how and why. Shout out to the, one second. Shout out to the Zelle. Shout out to the one with the Zelle. Appreciate you, broski. Shout out to the Zelle. Hey, if you like the stream and want to support the stream, at most definitely, I won't stop you from doing so. I won't be in the way of blocking your blessings. And if you, not for real, I'm not going to stop. You can hit the Cash App down at the bottom, or you can Zelle. If you want to Zelle, you can Zelle too. So I'm going to put the Zelle. There go the information for the Zelle. You can put my email in. Bam. You get the Cash App, or you can Zelle. Either or. So what was y'all take y'all on what she said? For the ones who are Darren and T. What's y'all take on that? Darren or T. Okay, they're not paying attention. So we are going to move on to the next. What was that, T? All right, we're going to move on to the next one. They're probably busy doing something. I have no idea, but we're going to do what we do. Here's the next video.
Another tax scheme involving filing fraudulent tax forms. And this one was really common the last couple years. And that's one of the reasons why there's such a holdup on refunds going back to 2023 and 2024. So there were people out there that were making up fake W-2s with fake wages and saying that a substantial amount of taxes were withheld, 10, 20, 30,000. And then they would find low-income people or people with no income that could file a tax return with just this tax form and claim this huge refund, and then they would split the money. So what happens when you file a tax return is that's why employers and payers are required to report W-2s and 1099s to the IRS so that they can verify what you reported on your tax return matches what people actually paid you or withheld from you. So in this case, if someone's filing a fraudulent W-2, that's on record, they can match it with the tax return. The IRS might pass that refund off and send it out. But then they'll go back later and say, whoa, we never got a $30,000 payment from this employer that we gave to this taxpayer, so what happened? So that's why a lot of refunds from the last couple years have been held up, because they all have to be individually, manually verified. So if the IRS sees a return like that, they're going to ask for proof of that withholdings. They're going to want pay stubs. They're going to want letters from the employer to show that that money was actually withheld. Now, if you somehow bypass that and you did actually get the refund, you split it with someone else, the IRS eventually is going to find out they never got that money. They're going to come back and ask you for it, and you've already gave half of it away and probably spent the rest, but you've got to pay it back now with penalties and interest. So once again, if it sounds too good to be true, or you don't understand how you're getting this much money back, you definitely need to question it. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about, and this is so common, is abusive tax schemes using trusts.
Now, one of the main things that she said in there is that the IRS is going to check to see whether the money was actually paid on the withholding. Was the money actually paid? Or in the alternative, the extra technical side of it is were the payments that were paid, were the taxes that the company paid, were you supposed to get credit for those taxes paid? See, those are the only two things. Did someone pay the taxes on these withholdings, or were you supposed to get credit for those taxes that they paid on their own? Were you supposed to get credit for it? And that's exactly what we're going over in the tax class. So this is the part where a lot of people are going to start to check out. This is the part where a lot of people are not going to want to hear what we have to say. Is because the only thing that they're looking at is a quick, fast refund, all because someone is saying that they're entitled to a refund and they can get them a large refund. And when they transpose that their situation, when they transpose it on the situation that's going on in their life, then they're kind of just focused solely on the refund and the money. A big example of this, that there are many TikTok content creators that are telling people that they can get refunds. A lot of other people who sell ebooks, and quite a few people follow their process, and they got to check up front. Some of them got to check up front, and the IRS came calling back saying, hey, there was no money that was actually withheld from you. Remember, when you put a withholding on any item, the IRS is going to check to see if the withholding that you put on the item, right? They're going to check to see if whatever that withholding that was placed on the item, it actually matches the return or the information return that the person that you filled out that tax return for filed. See, what they're actually teaching you is file the tax return in their name, in the bank's name, the finance company's name. Put the withholding in the finance company's name. And then you're the recipient. And then you file that with your return. That is a tax scam. Because if it was actually legit, you wouldn't have to file the return in their name. They would already send you a copy letting you know this is how much we sent to the IRS on your behalf. So that's a good point. Because what we teach from is we know that part of these taxes that they paid, we economically bore them. So the IRS has a system to informing them about, hold on, we're supposed to get credit for this. The IRS knows that. So the IRS actually has a system and forms that we have to use in order to get credit for those taxes that they pay. They didn't give us credit. Let me newsflash to everybody. These withholdings from the banks and these withholdings for the finance companies, they're never going to give you credit for. they're never going to give you credit for. So you have to explain to the IRS why they should give you credit for the taxes paid instead of giving them the credit based on how the form of the transaction looks. See, this is the part that the gurus are missing. They don't know how to explain why that person would actually be entitled to that refund from a position in which the IRS accepts. This is why they tell you to put the withholding in, put Bank of America's name down, put Bank of America's name down, put the withholding, put yourself down as the recipient, file the OID in their name. Remember, you're putting the payer's name down, you're putting the other party's name down, and then you're putting your name down. In a real legit situation, especially with securitized transactions, you wouldn't have to do that. You wouldn't have to do that. And then the IRS tells you to explain your position. Explain with substantial authority why your tax position and treatment for these items differs from theirs. We just went over it yesterday. Tell the world if I'm lying.
No, you ain't lying.
That's straight facts.
And I just think
Bombs
that
going
people
off.
should,
To the
yeah,
T.
people should be on high alert. Like the regular everyday person should be on high alert and just use some common sense, man. Because if you don't have anything from what you are told to put on a form, if you don't have anything in writing from them and they're a bank which does
Yeah,
accounting and keeps records,
yeah.
like common sense should tell you, like you might not have it all figured out, but you might want to just fall back from that. Like that should
But
be common sense.
I know, but here's the thing though. This the point that I'm trying to get you to understand that what they're doing is they don't the person that's buying this stuff, that's buying into these execution classes, they don't understand the tax laws enough to be able to ask the actual questions. If these people, if they've always blocked me from their lives, so I can't get it out. I get one question out. So if someone is telling you to put a withholding of 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000, right? On a 1099B, because that's the form they use today now. That's the prevalent form. First, it was the OID. Then it was the 1090. So it was the OID from 2006 to about 2010. Then from 2010 to 2015, they used the 1099 miscellaneous. Now today, they use the 1099B. That started like around 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. So people were getting refunds off the 1099B during the pandemic times. And remember, me and the special agent for the IRS, the special agent, the CID, that's where I got him. He was explaining around those times the IRS laxed their regulations because of the pandemic and people needed their money. So they couldn't be scrutinizing everybody's shit when they're in the pandemic and can't work. So that's why people was getting the $80,000 refunds, $200,000. The IRS wasn't, they were just giving you the benefit of the doubt. But once the pandemic ended, they went back to restoring the strict regulations. So now today, and that's where all they teach from. That's all the checks that you see. Majority 2021, 2022, 2023. Now, today, I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about your process from 5 years ago. I'm talking about today because the system is always changing and evolving, right? What worked in 2022 is not going to work in 2026. You got to stop riding that wave. That one check that you slipped through the cracks, stop thinking you were guru because all you did was just follow the packet of what someone else gave you. That's all you did. Now, today, the IRS is going to check the system to see, and whatever withholding that you put on that 1099, did that entity actually pay? Did they actually pay? And if that entity did not pay, then you have to explain why you should be getting credit for that withholding. That's how the IRS works. That's how they work. Did that entity pay over into the treasury the taxes or the withholdings that you are claiming on your 1099? How do you explain this withholding? Because obviously, the way they're teaching today, they're telling you to file those 1099s with the company as the payer and you as the recipient. These people are not receiving organically these 1099s with the withholdings. And newsflash, when it comes to a 1099B, it is rare that you ever see a withholding on a 1099B. The IRS, brokers, barters and broker transactional statements. Want to know why? Because a 1099B is used to report proceeds from securities that you sold, meaning you've already received the money. And the only reason why there would be a 1099 withholding is the backup withholding. It's the backup withholding. It's the backup withholding today. Now, if you are a form over substance type person, then you will file the 1099B. Yeah, no, think about what I'm saying now. If you have the mindset of a form over substance, you're going
Right.
to file the 1099B. Right. If that's all your understanding of securitization is, then you would file that. But if you understand securitization as the Supreme Elite team does, you would know that y'all, we're putting those 1099Bs in the shredder. They have no applicability over here. But
Not at all.
absolutely not. But a lot of people, they're going to look at, well, this person got a check back. This person got a check back. Well, if people are constantly getting checks from these teachers, why does the teacher have to keep reinventing themselves? Why the teacher got to keep going underground every now and then? Why the teacher always pop back up soon as the air clears? Why don't you stay consistent where you're at? Why you got to have 5,000 channels? Why you got to have avatars and rebranding yourself? You don't want to put your real name out there no more. So you'll do shit like, let's go. You don't really want to say your name anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that makes sense. And I don't care what a person got a check from. I don't care. Because 5 of these people on TikTok sent me copies of their checks. But when I asked them, let me see the final entry on your transcript, it should say an 846 or the manual refund for that same amount. Ain't none of them send it to me.
They'll never show that.
Ain't none of them show it.
That's that receipt.
If you got a check and it's stuck and they didn't reverse it and ask for that money back, show me the last entry of the transcript. I don't even need to see your name. All I need to see is the last entry in your transcripts that says 846 refund issue or 841 or 840, whatever the manual refund is for that same amount. To let me know that that was the last entry for that year when they gave you the check. So 2022 was closed. It's not hard to go and check your 2022 account or the 2021 account. 5 of them. When I asked all 5 of them those questions, they all ran away. You know what that means? It got reversed. Come on, they could pull the wolves out of people's eyes. This is why I'm blocked. This is why I was blocked from 32 gurus channels in which I never even had an interaction with. You know what that means? They watched me first and saw me coming. And they didn't want me to put that heat up under them. That's all that means. So let's move to this video.
I was gonna
Go
say
ahead.
that lady, she's sharp. I've seen her too on TikTok. The other thing too is they're trying. It's beyond me. Along with everything else, they're obsessed with the 1099C. If you receive a 1099C, you have to count that as income. That doesn't mean that whatever obligation you have, you're somehow relieved from that. So
Okay, Darren, that I'm glad you brought that up for the last time, y'all. A 1099C does not mean your discharge method worked. a 1099. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you. Let's read. Let's read what a 1099 means. Okay? Because I know if I say it, you know, they're gonna act like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So, and this is the thing. This is the thing that another issue. They always want you. They always want you, right, to listen to what they have to say rather than them pointing you to the actual source, the IRS. You notice how all these gurus, their tax positions always differ from what the IRS really says? You notice that it always differs. It's never in line in conjunction with the IRS rules and regulations. It's always, they're telling you that's outside of what the IRS even recognized. But let's get to it. And guess what, y'all? Do y'all think that these gurus will actually know the topic number for these 1099Cs cancellation of debt? You think they would actually know the publications in the topic number?
No,
Hell no,
absolutely
they
not.
don't read.
They
only read from packets.
Packets. That's it. So for you gurus that's watching, especially on TikTok, that you haven't clicked the watch now, you're just sitting on the outside watching, right? You're not actually joining live because you don't want me to recognize your name. I get that. But I got something for you right now. This is probably something that it could benefit you. And maybe you'll take those videos down, because a lot of y'all have taken y'all videos down after I made my videos on the same topics you was talking about. A lot of y'all taking those videos down, but it's all good. Topic number 431, cancel debt. We got someone in the building. Welcome, Baltimore Blocks. Baltimore, we're in the building. Let's get it. Dax.
DMV.
What up?
DMV shot all
What
the
up,
way.
though?
What's up, Dax? What's good, Dax? Dax in the building. Dax, we know how to do things the right way. The homie Dax. Homie Dax got big receipts too, y'all. That's the Supreme Elite team, man. Not just one get receipts, man. Quite a few of us get receipts, man. Everybody has their time. So let's get to this 1099-C cancellation of debt. Since everybody want to talk about cancellation of debt, and they posting their cancellation of debt online on their page like they got some type of success. See, for people that don't understand, they would look at that as the guru knows what they're talking about. Let me charge my laptop. They will look at that as the guru knows what they're talking about. But when I see somebody with posting a 1099-C that they received, right? And they're not posting their credit report showing that the account was paid as agreed or settled for less than the amount. You notice how they'll post a 1099-C but won't post their credit report that evidence what really happened. You notice that? If they post a 1099-C, tell them to post a credit report that shows that it was paid as agreed. That's normally the discharge thing, paid as agreed or settle for amount less. They'll never post the account. See, that's how they get y'all. If you borrow money and are legally obligated to repay a fixed or determinable amount at a future date, you have a debt. You may be personally liable for a debt or may own a property that secures a debt for which you may or may not be personally liable. If your debt is forgiven or discharged less than the full amount, the debt is considered canceled for the forgiven or discharged amount that you no longer need to pay. Cancellation of a debt may occur if the creditor can't collect or gives up on collecting the amount you are obligated to pay. That's all it means. It only means that they know they're not going to pay. They made demands for payment and they don't expect to receive those amounts, meaning your process didn't work. From an accounting standpoint, when we talk about Supreme Elite Team, we actually know what it means from the accounting standpoint. See, I know what it means from an accounting standpoint when they send someone a 1099-C. See, these gurus don't even understand that even the 1099-C getting one is evidence of what I can prove in court from an accounting and regulatory standpoint. Y'all, we are not like the rest out here.
You're rocking with the best.
Nowhere near like the rest. We are nowhere near like the rest. If you
Kendrick Lamar.
I'm telling you, if you own property securing the debt, cancellation of the debt may occur due to foreclosure, repossession, voluntary transfer of the property to the lender, abandonment of the property, or mortgage modification. In general, if your debt is canceled, forgiven, or discharged for less than the amount owed, the amount of the canceled debt is taxable. If taxable, you must report the canceled debt on your tax return for the year in which the cancellation occurred. Yeah, so they posting these 1099-Cs. You got to pay taxes on that now, unless, y'all, unless you can prove you were insolvent at the time of the cancellation of debt, meaning you couldn't afford to pay your debt. So now you got to let the IRS know I was insolvent. I couldn't pay my debt. Gurus. That don't work good. That don't work good. They supposed to be canceling debts. They supposed to be discharging debts. They ain't got to pay nothing. So you getting a 1099-C. What does that mean? Y'all, if you tap the screen, TikTok, tap the screen. You like what I'm saying? Tap the screen. I'm just bringing the reality to the people, man. I'm tired of these gurus lying to y'all, man. Gaslighting y'all, man. I'm tired of them blocking y'all whenever y'all got a question. I'm tired of the gurus telling you to listen to them if the courts disagree with them. I'm telling these gurus telling you that, or the courts or the judges or the IRS or these agencies don't determine what's correct. Right. If that's true, why don't you have your own system set up, your own court where you make your own rules? You notice how they always run into these same people that's going to make the final determination, but they'll tell you that there's no final determination, but what the guru says. Come on, man. Come on. Let's keep this shit 100, man. Nah, for real. Shut it. Let's keep this shit 100, man. Let's keep it 100. So it says right here, in general, if your debt is canceled, forgiven, or discharged for less than the amount owed, the amount of the canceled debt is taxable. If taxable, you must report the canceled debt on your tax return for the year in which the cancellation occurred. So why they running around promoting these 1099-Cs like they did something big? That's basically saying you didn't pay your bills. Those documents that you were sending in, we didn't accept. Those discharge packets, we did not recognize. So we have totally given up on trying to collect the debt from you. So we're going to forgive this debt. Now the IRS treats that forgiven amount as income. Now you have to pay taxes on that income debt as other income. I bet you these gurus don't even know the schedule that you put 1099-Cs on. Now you got to put that 1099-C on a Schedule 1 as other income, and you're going to be taxed on it. The only way you're not going to be taxed on it is if you say, IRS, I was too broke at the time of this cancellation of debt. And there's a form that you have to fill out. Matter of fact, I'm going to give it to you. Y'all, should I give it to him? Hey, if I give them the form, y'all, do y'all think a lot of these gurus and their students going to be filing that form with their 1099-C? Because when they do file it, that means that's the reality of your life and your process in these spaces. See, the reality of what's going on is 98% is nowhere closer to the results that they actually want. And they've been around these spaces for a minute. They're nowhere closer. They can lie and gaslight with an FDCPA, but they're no closer. Like, how low do you think you have to be in life where you got to rely on a debt buyer or a credit card company making a mistake in order for you to bring a claim against them, all for the sole purpose for you not having to pay that debt? But you have no problem getting that line of credit up front. You have no problem swiping the card. As soon as it's time to pay, now there's all this fraud. Now they did something so wrong. Well, if they did something that was so wrong, why didn't you bring these claims up from the beginning?
You're rocking with the best.
And they can never answer that either.
Why didn't you bring these claims up from the jump? Why didn't you not? Why didn't you turn the card back in? Why didn't you turn the card back in? Now, if there's so much fraud going on, why didn't you turn the card back in? Why did you swipe the card? Why did you swipe the card? Don't swipe the card if it's fraud. Don't swipe the card if you're getting into with people that's doing shady. Why swipe the card? And this is what I'm saying. Like, come on, y'all. You can't always expect equity, and you don't have to be responsible, accountable for nothing. Come on, y'all. Come on. Let's just reset. This is not a space where you just get out of all your obligations. It doesn't, the world doesn't work like that. And y'all know it though. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking that you don't have to pay nothing. Because everything that they're going to teach you, it's always going to be a FDCPA. It's always going to be a FDCPA. When I asked, what's her name? Rebecca Simone. Remember the guru? She got Mercedes-Benz. She got car titles in her name and stuff. Remember the guru?
The one with the electric company situation too?
All that. She won her case of the plaintiff electric company. Then when I asked her, let me see the title, she don't want to show it now, but she proceeds to talk about all the things that she has. When I asked her, I said, hey, what will your arguments be if you're current and you're the plaintiff? There would be a lot of arguments. Yes, fam. You want to go outside? Tell them to take you outside. Y'all take her outside. Now. Y'all take her outside. I'll let you know. Yeah, you have to go outside. So when I asked her the question, what will your arguments be if you're current and you're the plaintiff? She said, shut that door all the way. She said, oh, it would be a lot of but this ain't the topic right now. This is for people wanting to learn the consumer law. And then she got real agitated. Yeah, she got real agitated with me. And then she was like, I'm just so agitated. Why you get so agitated? I just asked a question. I wasn't no animosity in my questions because I kept asking her questions that I knew she didn't know the answer to. And when gurus get blindsided with questions they don't know the answer to, they're going to gaslight. They're going to take the question, take the topic off the question that you asked and make it about your tone, make it about, oh, you're trying to troll or you're trying to throw people. No, I'm asking a legitimate question. What will your arguments be if you're current and you're the plaintiff? That takes the whole FDCPA equation out of it. And that is the answer that none of these gurus have for y'all, except for me.
You're rocking with the best.
True story. Because nobody ever thinks about it from, what if I am current? What if I'm not past due? What if I am paying my bills? Nobody has ever fashioned it in that way besides you. And so it's not like it will still be a battle, but it's not a deficit battle. And that's what the FDCPA is. So yeah, nobody has ever even thought of it that way. More or less has answers.
Right. And Mom Bear, Mary Bear, she just said, I just saw her live. Of course, I guarantee her live is another FDCPA. FDCPA. All just wins. FDCPA. But let me ask you a simple question. Remember when we talk about generational wealth, again, assets, how do you get assets back in the names of you that you could pass down to your family or do whatever you want with it or legally put it into a trust, whatever? How do you do an FDCP? How do you get that with an FDCPA? Because the FDCPA does not settle the underlying obligation. It does not settle the merits. What I teach is you winning off the merits of your case without having to wait to be sued. And Supreme Elite Team, answer this question for me. Y'all know what happened with everybody knows what happened with my credit acceptance. I settled, debt wiped away, got the title free and clear as part of the settlement. Everybody knows that. It's not a joke. You got people that was trying to copy my lawsuits and still got their motions denied. Cool. Let me ask y'all this. Is the mere fact that I want y'all to answer based on y'all being in a group, is the mere fact that they're teaching FDCPA claims, isn't that evidence that they don't understand the system like we understand it?
Absolutely.
Oh, most definitely.
One is a defendant and one is the plaintiff, and that's it.
Don't we have a plethora of arguments that we could bring when we're the plaintiff?
Absolutely.
Isn't our positions more stronger as being the plaintiff and current?
Yep.
I'm so tired of this space always teaching people to be reactive, defensive, and you got to wait for them to make a mistake. Because when you're the plaintiff and you're current and you bring the lawsuit as the plaintiff, then you actually got to win off the merits of your case. These spaces don't teach you how to win off the merits of your case. If you're the plaintiff and you're current and bringing a lawsuit, bring up the securitization the correct way. Bring up the accounting the correct way. Bring up their inner structures, their securitization structure. Bring up the legal reason why you don't owe on this contract, and validate the arbitration clause. Y'all, did I not do all of those things?
Everything and more.
5 lenses. Yes, sir.
Because before I was talking about it online, y'all know we was going over my whole lawsuit in the group, stage by stage. And I taught y'all how to invalidate the arbitration clause. Did I not?
Yes, sir. Especially among other things as well.
I taught y'all how to get through the door on a motion for temporary restraining order.
In addition to all the nuances and things of that nature.
All the nuances that comes with court.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just highlight all the glitz and glamours. I highlight where we got to go on appeal. I highlight the setbacks, because what do I do with setbacks?
Learn from them.
You learn from them.
I turn them into a teaching moment. And that's the thing that these gurus are scared to do. Take a loss or a setback and turn it into a teaching moment for the rest, so the others can start to build a better foundational anticipation. Okay, so I see this happen here, so I know that I'm gonna be able to counter that by doing this and answer the question before it's already asked. These gurus are scared of losses. You want to know why they're scared? Because none of these gurus have 100% record. They don't. You think they have it because they will never show you when they lose. They only show you the good side. To me, that's not a teacher. Do you cover federal lawsuits as well? Yeah, Caesar 3 says, do you cover federal lawsuits as well? He don't know.
Must just be brand new today.
It's brand new. It's a brand new. Y'all answer that question for him. I'm gonna allow y'all to answer for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
County, state, federal, supreme, appellate, supreme.
Yeah. Yes.
International.
Yes. Hold on.
Right.
Hold on. Yeah, international. Hold on 1 second. Grand Pachy 84 sent the GOAT.
All
I don't
right.
want to miss anyone else. I don't want to miss anyone else that they did. Hold on. Grand Pachy. Oh, Grand Pachy sent. Oh, hey, Grand, we got to hot. Hold on. We got to highlight you with the explosion, Grand Pachy. We got to highlight you. Grand Pachy, you are now.
You're rocking with the best.
My bad, y'all. We on TikTok. And on YouTube at the same time. The New Culture Empire TikTok, the New Culture Empire YouTube. So let's get back to. So look at this right here. After a debt is canceled, the creditor may send you a Form 1099-C, cancellation of debt, showing the amount canceled and date of cancellation. Contact the creditor if you receive a 1099-C reflecting incorrect information. If a creditor continues to attempt to collect the debt after you receive a 1099-C, the debt may not have been canceled and you may not have income from a canceled debt. Verify your specific situation with the creditor. Your responsibility to report the correct taxable amount of canceled debt as income on your tax return for the year in which the cancellation occurs remains, regardless of the accuracy of the Form 1099 you receive. So, one question remains. What about this? What about a 1099-C that would give any normal, regular, average, just a normal, regular, functioning human being with a functioning brain? What about a 1099-C that would give anyone any indication that their process worked? What about what is anything about a 1099-C? Unless they are showing the credit report saying your account has been removed or paid as agreed. What about it? What about it? What about it?
There's nothing. It literally
Can't
just said
tell you.
just because you received one.
It's
It says
nothing.
just because you received one, you may still owe a debt, and until
It's
even
nothing.
if it's accurate,
There's
like nothing.
There's nothing about a 1099-C that evidences a process went through. As a matter of fact, when you receive a 1099-C, it's evident that you did not pay your debt and they got tired of collecting. That's what it means. It means the process didn't work. It didn't work. Because the only way that you can decipher when they post a little video showing a 1099-C, show the account statement, show the letter saying you don't owe. As a matter of fact, why they talk about these FDCPA claims, this is why FDCPA claims are beneath me. Y'all remember this? This is what Midland. No, I didn't have to file a lawsuit. Thank you for your recent communication. We have reviewed our records and are writing to provide you with the following update. We have closed your account and ceased collections. You have no further obligation regarding this account.
I remember that. That was from a couple years ago. So you've been in
Years.
this game for real, for real.
That was 2020.
Doing it before they even thought about it.
You thought I was going to, right? You thought I was going to file an FDCPA claim against them? I sent them a letter saying, "Hey, if you take me to court after I already told you what the hell is going on, if you try it, I'm going to expose you on the books, and now you're going to have to answer all these questions." 30 days later, I got this. FDCPA claims are beneath me at this point. They take away for the bigger goal. They are beneath me at this point. Oh, I bet they are beneath me. No disrespect.
Isn't there also precedent that even stipulate where judges stipulate that those claims are for unsophisticated individuals and consumers?
Well, yes, the FDCPA was established for unintelligent and unsophisticated borrowers. And no, I'm not saying everyone who files an FDCPA is unintelligent or not sophisticated. That's what the court said. That's why it was established. It's like training wheels. It's a help. Me, I don't need no help. Supreme Elite team, we don't need no help. As much as we can control, we're going to bring the claims on our own merits. And when we counter, when have you ever seen me counter in a client's lawsuit when they're the defendant and bringing up the FDCPA? When have you ever seen me bring it up?
Never.
Never. FDCPAs does not work in a mortgage. You've never seen anyone notice. Just look. No, don't say I'm lying. Don't say I'm lying. All you got to do is just look around. When you see FDCPAs, what do you mainly see? Credit cards. That's it. Credit cards.
No assets to be given
No
back.
assets you getting back out of it. All it is, all right, you ain't got paid it. You ain't got to be responsible for this bill anymore. That's all the FDCPA. It's not getting you no closer to assets. It's not taking your assets out the securitization trust and back in your own name. So now that you could transfer the title into your trust legally. None of that. The FDCPA does none of that. My goal, my angle is getting the assets out those securitization trusts and back into our names, because that gives us a bargaining chip with the real world. They don't teach that online. They don't even fathom it online. They don't even think about it online. It's if you're being sued. Oh, if you're being sued. Oh, if you got to go to court. They always start on. Then notice they always start. If you're being sued. If you're the defendant. If you got to pay this back. It's all reactive defensive positions.
Right.
In
It's
my
never.
world, go ahead.
Yeah, it's always reactionary. It's you're behind on a bill, you got into some type of trouble, and now they're telling you you can go to bankruptcy, you can do this trick, you could do that trick, FDCP, and they're cutting all that out. You're not going to be able to. CFPB just put out a post that they're not even going to entertain your complaints if you have even went through with the furniture. So
Right.
all of that stuff
Right. They're
it's
stopping
moot.
it. It's
Right.
moot. It's becoming moot. And I know, and I try to warn people at the end of last year. I said, y'all, if you don't change your mindset, if you don't change the people who you follow, 2026 is going to start the same way 2025 ended for many people. You're no closer to what you're really supposed to be getting out of this. You're supposed to be getting a whole renewal of your mindset out of this. This is not a space where you just come to go do shit and try shit. Do a process. Doing a process is totally different from understanding a process. Many people does processes that they really don't understand. Just like you can have these people on Facebook with a $222 auto discharge class. But if you look on their timeline, they haven't shown not one title that they actually received from the things that they teach. Not one title. Can't save themselves for the love of Christ, but they got the answers for everybody else. Can't save themselves at all. Taking their money from those auto securitization classes and paying their car note while they're giving you a package or a course to get out of yours without in a method that's different from what the guru uses to pay theirs. 98% of these gurus takes your, this is what they do. I'm going to say it again. They take your money and give you a fraudulent instrument to pay your debts while they're paying their debts with the money that you give them. If y'all don't realize y'all getting hoodwinked, you have lost. And I don't care if you're invested in the process. I don't care if this is what you've been studying. I don't care if you spent money on it. You are being hoodwinked right in front of your face. They're playing in your face. And just because you like the teacher or maybe the teacher's a certain gender, you just let your guards down and you think, nah, they won't do that to me. They don't give a damn about none of y'all. Any of y'all stupid enough to pay them for garbage, they're going to take your money. So let's get into video 4.
Another big tax scam all over the internet, and it has to do with using trusts to somehow get out of paying taxes. I don't know how people come up with this stuff because that's not how trusts work, okay? Trusts are there to either protect assets or distribute assets to beneficiaries.
Wow. Did the gurus ever look up the normal understanding of how trust works? Because that's all they are there for. To protect
Apparently
assets
not.
and distribute them.
Yeah.
But if they understood securitization, they would understand how trusts work. See, they tell on themselves by the process that they teach that they lack very little understanding. They got very little understanding of the things that they teach. Everyone that's talking securitization, I guarantee you, none of them knows it. But let's continue with the video.
Trusts actually have the highest tax rate in...
There you go.
That's what they don't understand. Like,
They don't understand. The
oh,
trust pays the most taxes, y'all. Like 37%. They have the highest tax rate.
Even some up to 57%.
Yes, certain depending on the structures. So the question is, why is everybody teaching trust, 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 trust? They're already telling you that, hey, even though we're setting up this trust, you do know that the trust has the highest tax rates over any entity. Are they telling y'all that? Or that's just something that you gotta, what they tell you, go do your research after they gave you the documents and shit don't work. What they tell you, go do your research. Right.
Trusts actually have the highest tax rate in all of the tax code. So putting anything in a trust does not shield it from taxes. And there's one...
Uh-oh, girl, you better shut your mouth. You better shut your mouth, girl.
Especially
girl, you better shut, you better not say that. Because that's the only reason why they bought that packet for $225, bought that class. They think that when you put, hold on, girl. On behalf of the people that believe opposite, I got something for you. No, girl, you better not say that. Because they think that once they put their property into a trust, they ain't got to pay no debts no more, or they ain't got to pay taxes. They ain't got to do either. Uh-oh, girl, you better stop. Because now you're about to alienate some people because they know they spent money on that stuff and they know they've been filing documents with it. They don't want to hear that what they're doing is null and void. They spent money on it. You better not say that. They're going to tune you out. If you're saying something that they don't believe or that contradicts what they believe, they are never, ever in their lifetime is going to look at it like, well, hold on, let me investigate this. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what their default response is? No, it's not. You're wrong. I'm right. And if asked them why I'm right, they're always going to give you an answer that somebody else gave them. They're never going to give you an answer from their own legitimate research, objective research. Because if they did, they would realize that putting assets in a trust doesn't shield you from taxation, nor does it give you a right to say that the original lender can't collect against you just because you put it in a trust of an entity that you set up. Just because you put it in your family trust, your vehicle in a family trust, doesn't mean you don't owe on the contract anymore. It's called piercing the corporate veil. But they know what they're doing. They're teaching. People are paying for it. They know what they're doing.
Does not shield it from taxes. And there's one trust in all of the tax code. So putting anything in a trust does not shield it from taxes. And there's one trust in specific that is a real trust. It's called a spendthrift trust, but somehow people have interpreted that into a trust where you put all your income, whether that's wages from a job, income from a business, income from assets such as real estate, you put all that in a trust, and now you can deduct all of your personal expenses as trust expenses, and then you only have to pay taxes on what's left after you pay your rent, your mortgage, your clothing, your food, etc. So once again, trusts do pay taxes, and trusts pay the highest tax rate, and that is on any income within the trust. So that's why if your trust does hold assets that produce income, they're always going to distribute that income to beneficiaries who pay a lower tax rate. Really, the only time a trust is going to save you taxes is if you are subject to gift and estate taxes. So that's when you have millions and millions of assets and you've already paid taxes on that, but you want to avoid paying more taxes on it when you leave it to your heirs. Here's another big.
That's it. Everybody gets about 12 million. I think it's like 13 something million. So when you pass away, when you leave property to your assets, they don't have to pay the taxes on it. Your gift and estates, your unified tax credits pays it. But no, they thought that was something that they could withdraw from now and spend it as money. Why do they think these things? Because 99.999% of these people have nothing more than a consumer mindset. Get the money to spend it. Consumer mindset.
Just to be bigger consumers at that.
Bigger consumers. 99 point people, I don't care if they're a guru or student, they have a consumer mindset. They do not think like a corporate finance company. They don't think like a sophisticated investor. They don't think like a regulator. They don't understand how courts interpret these things. The only thing they think of, any process that they're doing it from the lens of either a consumer mindset or it's evidence with the FDCPA. Many people have a defaulted borrower's mindset. And why do I say that? Because all these consumer and defaulted borrower mindset people, if they actually had all the money they need to pay their bills and they still got a surplus, they wouldn't be in these spaces in the first place.
You're rocking with the best.
They hate when I say that. They hate when I say that. They hate it because deep down inside, they know that I'm telling the truth. They're not here for any other reason than to escape accountability. Do you think if all this stuff that's being taught, none of it had anything to do with getting out of your debt? Like you're just learning the system, but none of it has to do with, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here. It's always got to be some type of free money, some escape of accountability, or getting things on your face and not having to pay it back. It's probably the same as accountability. Free money and accountability. That's why many people are in these spaces. And they will spend years chasing the ghost that doesn't exist. Years and a lot of money. And then since they put their money in the wrong places, now the next person has to understand their desperate and greedy mindset. Now the next person has to give them a break, or the next person has to clean up the last four gurus' mistakes. People have a weird way of thinking.
Or tax scams. Don't listen to people who tell you just to set up an LLC so that you can claim whatever you want as a business expense. Don't claim personal expenses as business expenses, whether you have legitimate business income or not. Yes, you can legitimately claim losses on your tax return, whether that's Schedule C, K1, Schedule E, Schedule D loss, but you need to make sure that it's legitimate because
she knows what she's talking about. She just wrapped off forms that I know very well. She knows it. I've used those for some clients. She knows exactly what she's talking about. And the only items that I'm putting on there are legitimate items. There is no way that you could just get free money out the IRS, out the Treasury. There's no way. There's no way. Remember the Constitution. It's funny how people always want to quote the Constitution, but they always like seem to sidestep the ones that contradicts their pseudo-legal positions. They always do that. No money shall be removed from the Treasury unless by appropriations or through an act of Congress. That's it. If it's not one of those two, then that means somebody else has to pay into the Treasury in order for you to get a refund. But they know the Constitution, right? And this is when they start to leave. When the reality gets too true for them, they start to leave because 98% of these people in these spaces are sovereign citizens or have a sovereign citizen mindset. You don't have to accept the name. You can reject the name all you want, but your talking points, the process that you do, the people that you follow, the responses that you give is all indicative of the sovereign citizen movement. You could put a national name on it. You could put a patriot name. You could put indigenous. You could put whatever name, I'm a Moor. You could put whatever name on it. It doesn't change the fact that you have a sovereign citizen mindset. And it's evident in the things that you do, the things that you teach, words that you say, and your ideology. It's evident. You can sit there and deny the reflection in the mirror all you want. It doesn't change anything. Right to travel, sovereign citizen. Don't got to pay a bill, sovereign citizen. Free money out the government, sovereign citizen. Authenticating a birth certificate, sovereign citizen. Changing the BIRTH to a BERTH, sovereign citizen. The birth on the docks of the land, sovereign citizen. Sets the key via sovereign citizen. Bill of exchange, sovereign citizen. International promissory note, sovereign citizen. But if someone says you're a sovereign, oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. But everything that you do and file is indicative of the same people who was filing that shit 40 years before you. But all of a sudden, you're not a sovereign citizen because you just ran across it and you're just enforcing your rights. Right. Shit don't make no sense.
D-loss, but you need to make sure that it's legitimate because the LC, K1, Schedule E, Schedule D loss, but you need to make sure that it's legitimate because the IRS is always going to scrutinize that. And I honestly have seen hundreds of these audits, and a lot of them are coming from states because they're going to catch on sooner than the IRS lately. And people are claiming that they made no income or very little income, and then they're claiming tens of thousands of dollars in business expenses. Now, if that's legitimate, if you really did have all these expenses getting your business off the ground, make sure you've documented them well, because if not, the taxing authority can still disallow them. So if you legitimately have a self-employment income or a small business, make sure you know what you can and can't write off. Don't make up the numbers. Don't round them. Don't just say what you think it was. You need accurate numbers. You need proof of what was purchased and proof of how you paid for it.
Ma'am, you're doing what you're saying. They're going to go do the opposite, because that's all that's being taught on here. The opposite of the right way. 99% on online teachings are always opposite of the right way. But they got people thinking it's the right. It's always the opposite. Just like the case laws they cite. The case laws these right to travel people cite, they're always the opposite of what the actual case says. It's never directly right on point, like the Supreme Elite Team. It's always the opposite. Just like everyone that says, oh, there is no case law on accounting or securitization. Oh, there's no case law on accounting. Supreme Elite Team Group, is that accurate? When everybody online, like F.B. Lade and Kiana Stone, said that there's no case law on accounting. Is that true from my own situation?
No, that's false to the mud. A quick Google search will tell you that. Stupid.
Okay. Want to know why they can't find a case law on accounting and using a case law to support their accounting position? Want to know why? It goes back. It goes back to the original point. My original point. They're looking at it from a consumer mindset. They're looking at it as a consumer using accounting to get out their obligation.
And they don't know what to look for.
Right. They don't know what to look for because they can't see anything outside of a consumer mindset. They can't think of it. So when you're looking at accounting from the lens of a consumer, that means you're looking at using accounting to say you don't owe this debt anymore. And that's when you get stuck in a can. If they were in my group and seen the case law on accounting, their heads would blow, because they'll be like, I would have never known these cases were here, because the titles and the names of these cases has nothing to do with a consumer. Well, that's the problem. You're always looking at shit like it's a consumer. You look at your contract like it's consumer lens. You look at the accounting from a consumer lens. You look at court from the consumer lens, evidenced by the FDCPA. That's a consumer lens way of looking at court. You're looking at the regulations from the consumer lens. So everything that you're looking and measuring and viewing and analyzing is always going to be in the back of your mind. How, with this saying here, how can I use to get out of a debt? That's the only reason why they're even looking it up. Can this get me out of a debt? And we talk about generational wealth. Does anybody who's created generational wealth, did they ever get so hyper focused on not having to pay a bill?
No, sir.
Never. People who are wealthy, they've been in massive amounts of debt. See, when you have a consumer mindset, you always try to find a way to get out of a debt. But when you have a millionaire's mindset and a successful person's mindset, you'll realize that you want to get into the most debt that you can get in and find your niche, find a way to leverage the debt.
They're always looking at how they can get some more debt.
Right. Because people get rich by getting into debt. That's how you get rich, by getting into debt. See, the mindset of the Supreme Elite team versus the mindset of 99% of people in the spaces, we're in two different worlds. That's why a lot of people, it's hard for them to connect with what I'm saying. And since they don't like what I'm saying, then they get to the tone police and my attitude. It's not the tone or the attitude. I am who I am. It's not that. It's the fact that they don't like that a lot of things that I'm saying, they know deep down inside it applies to them without me having to say their names.
So beware of these claims that you can just write anything off with an LLC. If you legitimately have an LLC or any type of self-employment income, make sure you understand what you can write off. Make sure you keep accurate records. And if you want a system to do that, check out my self-employment blueprint.
There you go. There you go. That was a good. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think of that video of her, a depiction of what she said?
She's definitely informative, right? She
Yes,
gives
I
you
would give her that.
Huh?
I said I would give her that. Most definitely. She has a realistic point of view. You know, people hate.
What I want to say on that is that this is the first time that I've ever seen her video, but what she's saying is what you have been saying for 2 years at least.
Yeah.
So it mimics it. It mimics
Yes.
it. Yeah, you can have the business, but I mean, do you know what you're supposed to be doing with it? Do you know what goes with it? Do you understand that even if you're just handing it over to your accountant, like you still need to know what's going on. So yeah, she mimicked exactly what you've been saying.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they're still going to file 1099Bs this year and just attach their contracts to it. They don't even, like, remember we went over it yesterday, they don't even understand the nuancey forms that you have to attach to your return. It's like minimum of 4 different returns that are just based around explaining the transaction. They don't even have all the forms that you need to report these securitized transactions. It's either going to be a 1099A or OID, 1099B, OID, 8949. They're missing like 4 or 5 forms that you need to say it's a mandatory. And why haven't the gurus went over all these forms with these people? Because they themselves don't know. They themselves don't know. That's why they don't go over them. So we had 3 classes. I believe it's 3, probably 4. 4 classes of it's 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have 4 classes dealing with the tax treatment of these securitized transactions. TikTok, 1 second, because I'm about to explain something to y'all. 1 second. So, all right, hold on. Hold on. One second, y'all. All right, so we had. Can I hear me? Can I see me? Can you see me? Y'all can hear me,
Yeah.
right? All
Yeah,
right, how
yeah.
about now?
You're,
How about now? Can y'all hear me now?
yep, you're good.
Oh, y'all can see me. All right. So, all right, y'all. So I have a class and I posted the itinerary and overview on TikTok. I've been getting a lot of messages from people asking to explain or not explain, but information on Set U or the tax class. And I'm starting to think that a vast majority of these questions are not legitimate questions. I'm starting to think that a lot of these questions are more like convince me like questions. First off, if you know you don't have money to pay up front, don't reach out to anybody. You know that. You're not going to walk into the grocery store whether you got no money or no money on your EBT. You're not going to walk in there and expect to leave legally with groceries. You're not going to walk into any other store in the United States without knowing you have the money to pay for what you're looking for. So you know you don't. I find it very strange while people, when they go out in the everyday world in their real life and know that they need money for the things that they do and have the money for the things they do, they always seems when it comes to stuff like this, are always trying to get not get information, but they want to reach out and want to be interested knowing they don't have the money to pay or are unwilling to pay. There is nothing about this part of the system that you're going to get for free. And if you're getting it for free, show me your results in mass. Show it. Some people say, hey, this information should be free. Yeah, the information should be free for you when you take the time to do the research and study and learn and figure out all the nuances about this system. Of course, it should be free for you because you don't have to pay anyone. You could just do it. I didn't have to pay anybody for my auto, for my situation with credit acceptance. I didn't have to pay anyone. I did it myself. I didn't have to pay anyone. But if you are seeking my time, my energy, my time to assist you in things that I know you don't know exist, you're going to pay what I charge. And if you don't want to, then that's your choice. That's your choice. If you think someone can do it, get this, break it down the same way for cheaper, I highly advise for you to go that way. That'll be a better choice. But the value of what I do should not be considered on whether you can afford it or not. So now, if you are not joining my class, there's no problem. There's no problem. No problem at all. But understand this. With these taxes for these securitized transactions, you're not just filing forms. You're actually stepping into multiple areas of law and finance at once. So, since for those who are not going to be in my class, I'm going to leave you with a parting gift. And these are all the things that you at least have to be aware of before April 15th. If you intend on filing returns this year. Number one, you're going to have to be aware of the transaction classification. Supreme Elite Team, didn't we go over that? The misclassifications?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay. I just
You
want to
better
make sure.
classify them correctly.
Yeah, I just want to make sure when I let them know, I'm not talking about things that y'all haven't even been with. Okay. Because if you're not rocking with me, here's what you have to figure out on your own. Transaction classification. That is the foundation. So you're going to have to learn before April 15th. Oh, no, not learn. Be aware. See, we're not talking about learning. For many people, you just got to be aware of things that you don't even know exist right now. So you have to be aware. And then once you're aware of it, you have to learn what actually qualifies as a sale, a loan, a security transaction, and the difference between an obligation versus asset, ownership versus assignment. Because if you misclassify the transaction, everything you file after that is going to be wrong. Second, you're going to have to learn about the cash flow. No, be aware. And then learn about the cash flow versus the paper flow. What do you want? Oil. Where am I gonna get some oil from? Oreo. Oh, I hate those. I hate those. So later on. Yeah, I ate them all already. It's only a little bit left. Back in the room. I hate those. Sorry. You be all right. Cash flow versus paper flow. Yeah, I would need to be able to become aware of it first, even though it exists first. And then be able to answer. Where did the money actually move? Who received it? Who is entitled to it? Because if you didn't know already, the paper says one thing, the money tells the truth. If you can't trace the money, you don't understand the deal. And the money moves through multiple hands. Supreme Elite Team does it not.
That's right.
Do they
At
need
least four.
at least four?
At
I was
least
just about
four.
to say that. Do they need to know at least the 4 different landing spots for the money once the borrower pays their bill? See, this is all learning the corporate finance side of the lens. Once again, the culture is consumer mindset. So a consumer mindset is not focused on the corporate finance side. But this is all the things you have to know before you file your taxes for securitized transactions, like your mortgage and your autos and your credit cards. See, these are the things that you're going to have to know. The party structure. And not to scare you, but this is where most people fail. So you're going to need to identify the originator, servicer, assignee, the funding source, and the end investor. And understand who does what, who gets paid from who. See, most people are going to think there's just 2 parties. It's usually 5 or more. And if you want to be technical in an asset-backed securitization, credit cards, student loans, and autos, it's about 15 players involved in the game. But 4 of which are important to us. Now you got to understand the income recognition. Then you got to study when income is actually recognized. What counts as proceeds, gains, cancellations, the concept of realization versus assumption. Oh, we get knee deep into the balance sheets there. You don't just claim numbers like the final amount that you got to pay on your contract. You have to qualify for them because we all know, well, the Supreme Elite Team knows that the amounts that's listed on the contract, it's never how the transaction actually goes on the books. And the IRS looks at the transaction as they go on the books, not from the contracts that you send them. Not in 2026. The next thing you have to learn is the financial instruments. And I'm talking about the basics. You're going to need to understand what is and what is not a security, a receivable, a financial assets, how instruments are created, transferred, valued. Just because something exists in finance doesn't mean it applies to you. Number 6, you're going to have to understand the intermediaries and funding structure. Oh, but yeah, they should have an easy time because the gurus online teaches about all this. Don't they, y'all? Don't they talk about securitization? Don't they?
Yeah.
They talk
Hey,
about it.
hey, and just to step back, just
Hold on.
one
I'm gonna
step.
mute off for a second. I gotta do something right quick. 2 seconds, but yeah, go ahead.
Hey, he doesn't mean the self-created checks either, the international bills of exchange or site drafts or
Right.
bonds. So any of that, those things, that's not, that doesn't apply to that, what he was just talking about a while ago.
Exactly, Tyler dear.
Yeah, because if you don't specify, they'll think, oh, I can go get into some type of obligation, create a bond that's backed by some account that they go to the treasury window, and that's somehow gonna offset, and they try
Or the
to,
DTCC. Or the
yeah,
DTCC. Yeah. Good
they
luck.
try to get slick with actual accounting terms that they just Googled and somehow apply that to a self-created bond that somehow it can't even be cashed anywhere, that's going to
Never.
somehow relieve them of their contractual obligations
If
for
these go ahead.
for a 2032 Corvette.
For a 2022 Corvette. Hey, but these corporate finance companies, they even have a hard time finding a market for some of these instruments. But all they got to do is just create a bond and there's a market for it. Or send it to the treasury because the treasury is just going to go into their secret account and then cash them out for the bond. I think that's what they believe. I don't think they understand how secondary markets work. And you got to find a market for
No,
the
that's exactly what happens, fam. That's exactly what happens. Let me go to the treasury window right now.
go to the treasury window by yourself, you with no qualifications, no certifications, you just knock on the treasury's door. No, I'm tripping. They can't knock on the treasury's door. This is why they send it to the treasury. And then they do a certified mail, registered mail, right? And then we know that they never get a response from it. And this is why you never hear them talk about it. You notice how you'll hear people talk about posts about what they're about to send to the treasury, like the private register bond or the discharging bond or indemnity bond, things that they were using in the 1990s that didn't work. And I be watching them in 2026, some young person sitting there going over everything they're about to send, but you never see a follow-up. Or I have like 250 million on the bond. And I think one person did this about September of last year. And then he post that video. And then we're in March. There's no follow-up to the video. What happened? Start talking about new things. When they do that, that means this process didn't work. But instead of them saying, "Yeah, that shit didn't work," or "Nah, we can't do that no more. Nah, y'all, we changed your course. That shit over with." They just move on to a next subject, hoping that the people don't ask about it, because if they do, they're probably not going to get an answer. And many people that follow, they know it didn't work, but they don't want to ask, so they just move on to the next. Intermediaries and funding structures. You're going to need to research how deals are actually funded, lines of credit, pooled funding, structured finance, and understand you're often interacting with the system, not a single lender. See, you're not interacting with just your lender here. It's not about you and the lender. It's about the whole funding securitization system. But I thought that since they be online blabbling out securitization, they would be, when they hold their classes, they will be explaining this there. Like Kiana Stone in her $33 securitization masterclass. Do you think that just what I've read off so far, what you're going to need to know, Do you think her securitization masterclass has at least 1% of what I'm just saying in it? All for $33.
Negative. Negative.
All for $33.
Negative.
You can get all that for $33. Right. And if I had my tax class series for $50, there'll be about 80 people willing to pay right now.
And now that we're on the topic about a structure and how these transactions are how they come about in accounting, there is no actual ledger that it has to be balanced. I don't know where the hell they got that from, but that's
Wow.
not how accounting works. It's
No.
not like you go into the grocery stores like back in the 70s and they write down a negative on the left side and then a positive. It's not a
No.
checkbook.
No.
So this whole notion that a finance company or any type of transaction that you're getting into, there's no such thing as balance in the books. Like this is not a ledger, a personal ledger that they keep. So I just had to throw that in there.
Nah, the mere fact that they talk about ledger, when they use the word ledger, a balance of books, to people like us, it lets me understand they have no clue how accounting works in the corporate finance world. They have no clue. Y'all been in class and we broke down the nuances, the intricacies of how that works. Y'all seen it. And then I know y'all feel the same way because y'all come out back online and y'all see people teaching, and it's like, oh my gosh. And this is why I say, and I'm gonna stand behind. When you join the Supreme Elite team and you've been in my group for a while, you will understand 99% more than what these gurus out here teaching. You're gonna know more than them.
You're rocking with the
Right, and
best.
they fall short every single time because they get on these lives and they say, "Oh yeah, I know accounting, I know Gap, and I know this and I know that," and then they fall short because they get to, "Oh yeah," and then they balance the books. Well, then what happens after that?
Right.
What
See,
where,
right
where does the
there.
transaction go? You know, if
They
you can't tell me more than that, you do not understand accounting. And that is why, securitization is so complex, is because
yes.
it doesn't just it doesn't stop there. It keeps
No.
going. It
Yes.
goes as far as after you close on a house, after you
Yes.
sign for a vehicle. It's
Yep.
more to the
Yep.
transaction. So
Yep.
by merely saying balancing the books, I mean, what are
Yep.
we doing? Are we bartering? Are we are we
Right.
putting gold on a scale and
Right.
balancing the value?
Right.
Like
Right.
it's ridiculous.
Right. Okay. So there, when they say that, that's just a plug-in word for the audience to substitute their lack of understanding of how it really goes. That's the plug-in word. So when they say,
Right.
"Oh, then they balance the book," that's just a way of explaining things they don't even understand themselves. I see gurus all the time talking about they got balance the books. They don't even understand what that means from a balance sheet standpoint. They have no clue. But the people that are listening to them, they don't even have a clue themselves. So it's easy for them to uh it's easy for them to be able to keep going and not get challenged. This is why when people like us showing their lives, we will ask those tough questions and then we'll get blocked or muted from asking because now we're asking them something that they can't explain. And then the people that are in the chat as well, they always seem to be like, you know what? He did make a good point. Yeah. What is the answer? They did that in that Rebecca Simone. Actually, you know what? Now that he said it, how did you settle your case with this person? See, the people will get the, you know what? That is true. You know what? I remember one person said, yeah, you know what? I've been in this group live for 6 months and I actually never seen a result. Like that. See, I get the wheels flowing and they get me up out of there. And then they reset.
Right. Yeah, and they're getting more smart because they're catching on to the lies, and now they're even starting to ask for the case numbers because
And
they're like,
that's
Yeah.
hey, I've been in this group and they talk about these wins, but they never
Yep.
post the court case
Yep.
number. I want to look it up. Hey, I'm
Right.
in Texas. You got this
Right.
case that's settled in this county. Let me see the court case
Yep.
number. And they
Yep.
never show it.
They don't want to do it, and that's the thing. When
And the wheels start turning when the emotions turn off and you come back to your analytical mind. But
yeah,
but you as an LT or Darren or anybody else who pops up on somebody's live, like you are the stop or the pause that brings them back to themselves, back to reality, because
yeah,
outside of that, yeah. And I've been victim to it. As a matter of fact, like I came to you from Midwest, you know, off of that live that you did with him. And I'm like, man, I've been listening to this dude, but the things that I'm looking for, there have been no receipts. And then you come in and you're like, bam, 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 bam. And not only are you saying it, but you're backing it up. Like that is the difference. And I just can't understand why people would choose to continue on in a fairy tale when they can have the actual thing.
because natural. Every okay, everybody thinks that this is for them, but what they don't understand is they're never really going to get to the essence of what this system is about because they've already came in through the door with the wrong mindset. So when you build stuff on top of that wrong mindset, you got to scrape damn near everything that you thought was true away. The problem with that is it's hard for a lot of people to do that because they become emotionally attached to it. So then they spend money on it. So they don't want to feel like they just throwing all their progress away. That's why. So then once they start to believe this stuff, it becomes more like a religion. It becomes part of their identity. It becomes a part of what they started created in their mind from what they thought the system's about. They start spending the money in their mind. So for someone to come and say, nope, none of that's a realistic possibility, people are going to push back against the truth to protect the belief. If everybody was just objective, I don't give a damn if I've been following you for 6 months. If the facts don't line up, I'm gone. These space will be better. But since that people are so inured and lured in by the possibility of what can be from the fantasies that's being told to them, it's hard for them to let it go because they don't want to feel like they're missing out on something. They don't feel like they're missing their lick. And couple that with the fact that some people, they're just in vulnerable situations that it just compounds. And then you have spaces like this. But the ones that really hit it, get it, feel it the most are the ones who are knee deep in the belief with this stuff. There's nothing no one can tell them. They have closed off their learning. They have hardened their hearts to true understanding. They, in their mind, believes that what they know now is the end all be all. No matter how much behind the scenes they get rejected, no matter how much they keep submitting that stuff and it doesn't work, they believe that it's the truth. Remember, a belief is more powerful than the reality, the truth. Once people start believing this stuff, it don't matter if it's me, a Gandhi can come and say it's wrong. They're not going to believe it's wrong. So instead of getting the objective facts and understanding, they want you to appeal to their belief system. They want you to tell them what they believe is wrong. And I'm not in the business to appeal to belief systems because they know they don't need me to appeal to their belief system. All they got to do is look at their everyday life. Are they walking around debt free? Are they walking around setting off mortgages left and right? Do they got to pay their auto bill next month? Do they got to pay their mortgage next month? The response that they got from their sending them documents in for their mortgage, did it lead to them getting the satisfaction of lien? Did it? See, I don't use to try to convince you. All I do is hold the mirror back. Well, look at your real life. What is your real life indicative of? Is your life indicative of a person who just set off their mortgage or their auto? Is it? And the reality is, for many people, the answer is no. So not only are they rejecting the truth and the reality for what I bring, they're rejecting the truth and the reality of what they see in their own lives every day. You get what I'm saying? They're rejecting their own reality. When a person's rejecting their own reality and telling themselves, nah, this ain't what it really is, when all evidence points there, there's nothing you and I can tell these people. The only thing that's going to happen, they either have to end up in prison behind these fraudulent processes or hit rock bottom and lose everything for them to wake up and be like, okay. And for many people, it's going to take them hitting rock bottom.
And not to cut you off, bro. To hit what you just said, because we've seen this all time after time. They'll lose their shit and still make excuse as to why it didn't work,
Yep.
knowing damn well it wasn't gonna work. They'll lose their house, and they'll be
Yep.
like, "No, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this." We're gonna start putting liens and all type of
Yep.
crazy shit, and
Yep.
and going after the judge and all this, and
Yep.
then they go down a deep rabbit hole because at this point they're so far into it, they already lost
Right.
the home.
Yep.
Everything must work. It has to work. You can't tell them it's not going to work because they don't
Yep.
want to hear that because there's too they don't want to admit defeat and
It's
they
too
don't want to
deep.
admit what they just lost.
It's too deep. And too
And
deep.
too deep.
And you see this a lot, especially in mortgage cases, where it starts off and you defending the mortgage, and then it turns to you asking the judge for the oath of office or trying to file a lawsuit against the judge. You notice how every time these people lose their homes, their immediate lawsuit is filing the immediate next course of action is filing a lawsuit against the judge.
That's
You
the
know,
playbook.
right. They're always declaiming that the judge entered a void judgment without no higher authority confirming that was a void judgment. You notice how it's a void judgment when they believe it's a void judgment, or just like the house is discharged when they believe they sent their documents in and it's discharged because they say it is, or when they try to do a quiet title action by transferring a title into their sovereign citizen guru teacher, and then they show up to court and start talking for them like they own the house now. See, this is a mental disease. This is a something. It starts off as them doing a process, but the more it grows, it turns into they start to lose psychological connection with reality. And if anybody that comes along and disrupts what they see as reality, they're going to push back against, regardless of the fact of what we do in our group. Many people are not going to transition and accept the fact that he may be right, because in their minds, if I'm right, then they're wrong. And you know, with those people, they're never wrong. This is why with my case with credit acceptance, this is why you had many people coming up with fake settlements. Did you had the internet on storm for a second? You had people like going to Kiana like, "Hey, Thomas just settled his lawsuit. I took your master class. Nothing. I sent the document in. Nothing's happened." See, the more we have results, the more they're wrong. And yet, I settled my case in January. We had almost 90 days in, and you haven't seen that one guru pop up with the same results as I've had based on what they taught. That should be an indicator right there.
The thing is, them teacher gurus, because they really not no teachers, don't got no
Right.
results or any motion for their own self.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote teachers, right? But you look at this. You did your own shit. You did a case study on your own. You proved your own. You you prove everything you've been saying by working on the shit on your own shit. Like you can't be like there's no arguing. There's nothing no one can say because it's not like you're bringing someone else's stuff and you never did it your own self. You feel me? Like you did the shit yourself. You documented it. That's even more like crazier to see that the documentation is there. But motherfuckers don't want to take their time. They want to cut shortcuts. And another thing is they don't do their own due diligence to fact check what these people be exploring out their fucking mouth on TikTok
That's
all
true.
day. They just take it and run with it, and then other people who don't know any fucking better is like, yeah, I was in this class too. Yeah, it definitely should work. Like, no, this man never owned a house, never had a mortgage, none of that. Can't get
And
approved for financing.
let me tell you this. Max Pierre, it is separate from the university. It's a mini series. It's a tax mini series. It's going to be several videos, several classes going on because you can't just get it all in one video. We've had four classes, three or four.
No, yesterday was 4.
Okay, yes, it was 4. So we already have 4 videos posted. If you're interested, you can go on my pinned message. It's the with the writing in. It's not a video, it's a pinned message, and you can choose to package whatever you want to join. And once you get that taken care of, you'll be instantly inputted into the class, and then from there you will be live for the class 5, and then you just go back and analyze and study the first 3 classes, analyze them, study, take notes, break it down, and slow walk your path back to the understanding or increase your understanding. At the end of the teaching section of the class, I will have examples. I didn't want to lead with examples first because that's what all these other gurus do. They just come with templates and do this with vague breakdowns of what it means. I don't care about you filing the forms correctly more than I care about you understanding why you're even filing the forms this way in the first place. Being able to defend it, being able to put your own statements together, being able to duplicate it on your own without needing me or anyone else to hold your hand. What's a pin message? It's a pin message on TikTok. If you Max Pierre, you just send me an email at thomaslegacy603@gmail.com. I'm actually going to get that email to you. It's thomaslegacy6 right here. There you go. All inquiries should be sent to Thomas Legacy. It's spelled how it sounds, 603@gmail.com. And I'll put it up there again. Thomas Legacy. You can screenshot or whatever. Thomas Legacy 603@gmail.com. So the 7th thing that you have to understand if you're not in the class, you're going to have to understand reporting matching systems. The 7th one. You're going to need to understand how reporting is verified, how systems match, the counterparties, the amounts, the transaction types. If your story doesn't match the system, then the system wins. Number 8, you're going to have to understand the documents versus the legal effect. You're going to have to grasp a contract, which is indicative of an automatic tax outcome, or the form, which is indicative of the legal authority. An attachment, which is indicative of proof of classification. Documents support a position. They don't create one. So your documents support your position. They don't create one. Now, another thing is, the next one, the risk and consequences. You're going to need to be aware of misreporting risk, reclassifications, audits, penalties. If you don't understand what you're doing, you're going to be the one holding the risk with the IRS. Everything that I'm talking about is publicly available, but it's spread across accounting, finance, and tax. You will have to connect all those 3 yourself on your own. So if you're choosing to do this on your own, which that is your absolute right, I just want you to understand that you're not just going to be learning a form or process to do. You're going to be learning how financial systems, contracts, and the reporting of them all intersect, multiple branches to the tree. And that's why most people simplify this into the just file this. Oh, you're going to put this in this box or pay $1,000 for execution class. Because the full picture of this shit is deeper than what you're going to learn how to file in a goddamn 60-second video. It's deeper. If this was as simple as a one form, file this, everybody will be doing it successfully. And the success stories should tell y'all enough. And a success for one person is not indicative, what the guru says, and this spreads across everyone. The success for one of their clients is not a guarantee for yours. Because one of the main things that the IRS looks at, and this is part, you could spread this across all of the system. Everything is going to depend on the facts and circumstances of each case. Facts and circumstances of each case. So you have the absolute right to do it on your own. You have that right. But what I'm saying is, be prepared that when you do it on your own, you strip away whatever you thought this IRS system is about. And you're going to have to understand, I'm going to give you a rough number. I'm trying to give you the lowest number that I can. But you're going to have to understand at least. Matter of fact, group, how many regulations we go over yesterday? How many regulations?
Man, one led to another. So you got regulations, you got codes. you got to know at least 6.
Right, 6. So we went over just 6 yesterday. So in order to fill all this in together, and I'm talking about the regulations that strictly apply to these transactions we're talking about, you're probably going to need to know at least bare minimum, not exaggerated. You're probably going to need to know about 15 different regulations that govern them. Probably going to be able to know about 15. I'm going to be honest, no disrespect taken. I'm going to say out of 15 regulations, probably about 14, many of you are not even, it's going to be your first time ever reading them. It's going to be, for many of you, it's going to be your very first, it's going to be your very first time seeing it ever. So now you got to get to, you can't just read it one time. Now you got to decipher and understand what it means. And then you got to apply that to your facts and circumstances. And we're not even going to talk about all the extra forms that you need. Many people think it's just a 1099B, 1099 OID, or 1099 AB OID. Yeah, you can find that process on Script. I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy. But you're going to, let me see. Okay, so you're going to need this form. If applicable, the schedule. You're going to need at least 10 forms. Your original tax return, and you're going to need about at least 10 different forms and schedules to attach to your return. If you know all of them, then you should be on your way. And the regulations that support them to make sure you're doing it accurately. And then the biggest statute that you're going to have to learn, y'all know what we talking about. Don't say the name. Y'all know which one we talking about. That gives us the right to even claim those amounts. The one we was going over. Y'all know which one we was talking about. Starts with the F. Y'all know what we talking about, right? Now, how hard was it for us to pull up that publication in the statute? How hard was it?
Man, it was pretty difficult because it was flooded by everything else.
Right. But I'm talking about put it in the back chat. Look in the back chat. I'm talking about that. How hard was it just to find that? It was in the publications. And they gave you the statue in the publications. I'm talking about that right there. It was very easy to find. And then they tell you when it comes to that, they actually tell you what you're actually entitled to. Very, if I was to tell everybody right now, they'd be able to find it in 2.5 seconds. But that goes to show it's been in our face all this time. It's been in our face. It's not hitting. It's been in our face. So what does it boil down to? It boils down to the mindset. That's what this boils down to. The mindset. Mindset. Everybody thinks they can just pull this off while still having the same old regular mindset. And they think they don't need to change their mindset because they're just following directions they're doing the process. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's what I'm talking about. Natural, it was in the back chat.
Yeah, I see. Oh, so it was very easy to find that in the publication.
That's one of the most important parts that puts us in a position where we can actually claim these funds and year round. Year round. You can claim it year round. You can claim it every year, at the end of every year. Because we think that we're filing a tax return on our consumer transaction. But in the tax class series, you'll realize you say the word consumer transaction, you have stuck yourself in the foot. It has nothing to do with that. You better not say that word. But once again, where does it go back to? It goes back to the what? The consumer mindset. That's what it boils back to. That's what it boils back to, the consumer mindset. So y'all could do whatever you want. I want to thank y'all. Just get these final words in. Get these final words in. Natural, final words. If you have any. Natural doesn't have any final words. T, final words, if any.
Final words, man. Yeah, with the Supreme Elite team, or just we ain't trying to hear while you in the middle of the field stuck in Shit's Creek because can't help you. We ain't got no helicopter, so avoid avoid the recovery because it's gonna be extra. Might as well get up right now because hey, man, it's gonna be look. In the car world, when I send my shit to the wrong mechanic and I got an issue and I got to bring it to a second shop, it's always double or triple. That's why I gotta do shit right the first time.
Yeah,
and I do my due diligence, man. I treat everything in life the same way.
Yes.
So yeah, man, y'all stop trying to fall for some too good to be true shit when the price don't match what the value you get it. That should be a red flag, man.
That's the main thing right there. That's the main thing. When you're talking about taxes, securitization, this complex system, the price, if it's too affordable, just know that they're trying to crowdfund. They're more focused on how many people is going to buy that link. If they're talking about securitization and $50 to get the link,
oh fucking no! They'll have every lawyer in this fucking country signed up. If that was the case, if it was that good, you would see the professionals. You would hear articles written about them. They would be spoken about of in a very professional standard procedure of just you know their language, you in their world, you will be
Yep.
talked about.
Yeah. And these gurus don't know their language. They don't know the corporate language. They
Oh
don't.
no, they don't
Bro,
know the understanding. That's why
man,
they can never come in as a plaintiff.
That's why they can never come in as a plaintiff. I've watched hundreds of these gurus. None of them knows the language. None of them. And not one of them. Everything is when I log off here, when they log off out of here and they scroll TikTok, it's going to be some FDCPA. It's going to be some stupid things to get out their mortgage, but they're never going to show you the title. It's going to be some email or text. Oh, we won. Never showing the final result.
Right. What they're showing you is what they send the system, or the system automatically is set up to reply when it receives what they sent. But once it validates it and sees that it's not legit, it reverses it.
That's all it is. It's going. That's it. It gets reversed. Natural. Final words. Darren, final words. We gonna get up out of here.
Yeah, just keep studying. If worse comes to worse, try to pay the minimum balance. Don't get sued.
I mean, worse come to worse. Might as
I
well pay the
mean, that ass. Pay it.
You
Tell them,
might as
look,
well.
work a payment plan. Try to get that shit on track and focus on that, man.
Look, we're living in unusual times at the moment. Not to
Yeah.
be too
Yeah.
too political, but I mean everybody's feeling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Facts.
So do what you can. Stay,
Yeah.
stay with your head down. Keep
Yeah.
working, and I mean that's
Yeah.
it.
Everybody feeling it. Told you, I'm in the hole down there 20 grand.
Bro, I
I mean,
just paid about
I haven't recouped all that shit back of what I put out over these past few weeks. I haven't recouped it all back. I'm in the hole. Shit. Life is life. Shit. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just saying, yeah, man. These shit, especially what we driving, them big ass
Right.
V8s.
Right. Gotta pay
Like,
property, gotta pay fucking fees and interest on 2 properties I own. Like that shit cold.
like niggas really be thinking like, cause we going like, there's this little war that we just not gonna pay bills. No, like
Fuck
the
no,
economy still gonna be going, cause it does the last
fuck
shit that's gonna
no,
stop.
fuck
Yeah,
no.
bruh. That shit's
Everything
still
ain't
gonna
out.
go.
This
Right.
ain't a 100%. Oh, you just don't pay no. It doesn't work like that.
Because
It just
that's a
doesn't work.
narrative I'm starting to see. So I had to put that out there. That ain't it. So
Nah,
if y'all fearing
fuck
that
no.
bullshit, no, yeah, bro. They starting a whole new
No.
little wave. Like, oh yeah. What
Choose your
they be
side.
using? The war shit, the war little thing, the
The War Act, the war powers, whatever.
IEPA or whatever. Yeah, they're like, oh, we in war now. The IEPA is inactive. And I'm like, bro, that's not it.
Shout out to
Like,
Lux Private Media. Lux Private Media hit me with the 17, 23, hold on, 25, 26, 28, 29. Shout out to Lux Private Media on TikTok, man. Hit me. Oh, hold on, it's another 5, 34. Like, hold on, let me count it right.
Hey, it be getting exciting, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Lux Private Media.
Hey, one more
I
thing,
tuned
because
into
I
you
know
too, big dog. I like what you're doing on your channel too, man.
I know we're
What's up?
talking about taxes right now. I got some good news, man.
Why the hell? Oh, what's up?
Go ahead, Darren.
I know you always want to be
Hey,
secretive with that shit.
hey, 24 is being processed.
Hey.
Oh, hold on.
Pew, 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 pew.
You're rocking with the best.
Hey, I sent you a picture of it. I don't know if you got to see it or not.
Oh, I ain't see it. I'm gonna tap in. That's good shit, bro. That's good shit. You know, I always like when anybody outside of me is getting some results, man. I always love when the group members get results because it just hits better. You ever
Right.
notice how you been in a group? It's like the teachers are the only one who seems to say they get results. It's always just the teacher. Like no one else who's close to them gets results. Like I'll be looking at that shit like it seems like y'all the only ones that gets results. Ain't y'all supposed to be teaching the same shit to everybody else? But anyways, that's good shit, Dan. I know it's been a fight in the battle, but you stayed the course. Continue to keep your head running, head down, keep hitting the pavement, keep studying, keep researching, and standing on your position. And that's what this tax class is about. The tax class is about
Right.
reporting the accurate amounts and substantiating our position and reporting the transaction on how it actually took place, not what the contract says. That is the part where these gurus will get lost in translation. They don't know how to restyle the transaction to fit with how it was supposed to be reported because they don't even know how these corporations are supposed to report it. It's simple to say, I lent you the credit. I loaned the bank money. My signature create the credit. See, they say those things and it's used as a bridge to substitute their lack of understanding. So it's easy for someone to be like, oh yeah, I let my credit. I don't owe you nothing. But the reality is, if you are really, let me ask yourself a question. If you really lent your credit to someone else, why would you have to go to someone else to loan your own credit? Wouldn't somebody come to you to loan your to borrow your credit? So if you're really loaning the bank your credit, or wouldn't there be an agreement set up for them borrowing your asset from you in the terms of the repayment that they have to pay you? See, ask yourself this question once again. Why do I have to go to a bank just to loan them my credit? If I have credit to lend, why don't I use that same credit to purchase the home outright? Or if I had credit to lend, why did I have to get their credit card? Why can't I create my own credit card for my lending structure? I got enough credit to lend. Why don't I just go buy the shit that I want? See, when you ask those questions and take away from a process or step by step, and you just ask real life, everyday questions, these gurus are not going to have the answer. Just ask them. If I'm lending the banks my credit, why do I have to go to the bank in order to access my credit? You get what I'm saying? If I have credit that I have access to, why don't I just go straight to the source of the credit? And if I got to go through the bank to get that credit, why do I have to pay the bank back anything? Why don't they just take their processing fees from the credit I get and I go about my way? See, y'all know in real life that it doesn't add up for what they
That
said.
doesn't work.
So you choose to believe what they're saying based on your situation that you're in. So you're choosing to believe it. You're not looking at it like, well, why the hell do I gotta, if I got this credit, why don't I just use it my own? I don't need the bank to use my credit. Same thing. Why you don't need permission from your bank for your regular checking and savings accounts to go in it. You could transfer money whenever you want. You can go swipe your card whenever you want. So why don't you take that same card and go swipe? Or you talking about the application? Like it's, you notice how there's holes that you just can't fill in because of reality. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I think another thing that keeps them from even wanting to
No, he
question
said
it,
the guru is silly as hell.
one thing that keeps them from questioning it is that they get sold that it's a secret. Like, so automatically they're gonna think, oh, okay, well, if it's such a secret, then yeah, it's gonna have some weird way to access it. But that's just part of the facade smokescreen. And it's not no fucking
Hey,
secret.
hey, Lux Private Media. If it's so much of a secret, then how does the guru know?
Right
Y'all,
there.
y'all get it? If it's so much of a secret, then how does the guru know? No, I'm not even trying to be funny though. If it's
Not
a,
that ass.
then how do you know?
Right. And then if you're saying I can access all these millions of call dollars or credits or whatever you want to call it, where is yours?
Right. And he said, I stand on a net pure comedy. That's yes, sir, brother. Stand, hey, Lux Private Media. Continue to stand on their necks. And yes, for me, sometimes it's comedy as well. Because I know that when I go in their lives, I'm hearing BS. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. I just start asking questions and they get agitated by the simple, normal questions. But you know what the problem is? Other people see that and then they start to look at the guru funny, like, yo, why you getting so mad just asking a question? And that's what they don't want you to do. They don't want you to ask questions. Y'all know me. I get mad at y'all when y'all don't ask questions. I be like, so all y'all
That
automatically
that
understand this shit already. Y'all ain't got no
that
questions. Y'all ain't got no questions. We just went over one of the most complex parts of this system, and y'all ain't got no question. Okay, I'll move right along. Okay. Like, come on now. Come on. You have to ask questions. There's no stupid question when you're trying to learn. He said they always block me. They don't want the smoke. I don't like seeing people get scammed real time. Oh yeah, it irks my soul. And the reason why it irks me is before number one, from a capitalistic standpoint, they could at least pay me and at least would have got way more than what they paid for. They at least would have got understanding when you walk through it and figure it out. But another thing is just if you know you can't produce, don't take the money. They'll take one document and try to pyramid scheme. Yeah, they'll take one document and try to apply it to everybody's situation when everybody's facts and circumstances are different. So, and it irks me because it irks me on both sides. And I find myself not trying to get too mad at the person who got, skizammed. But I be like, damn, y'all be putting y'all trust, like y'all be putting y'all faith, and y'all houses be on the line. Like your livelihoods be on the line. Like that's scary as hell. Like these people have no fucking, like they have no shame. Like they have no conscience. Like they have nothing. Like they'll literally be experimenting with people's houses on the line, their livelihoods on the line. They was they just have no soul.
and
They,
it's scarier because they practicing this shit on theories and the way they interpreted this shit, but it has no direct content or relation to what's really going on. So it's not like they're trying to learn this shit. They just putting this fucking weird ass theory on it and reading it one way and be like, I think it means this because this is what I'm on. Like,
that's scary, bro. But that's scary. That's scary. That's scary, bro. That is a scary way of teaching. It's scary. You got to remember, bro, when you are teaching and you're putting information out there, you are responsible for all that shit, bro. You got to make sure your stuff is on point. Like you got to make sure it is accurate. You like when I look at a statue, I may have what I interpret from that statue, but I know my interpretation is not the end all be all. These gurus, their interpretation stop right there. As soon as where they think it is, that's it. Me, I'm going to read what other professionals got to say about it. How was this statue brought up in multiple court cases? Like, uh, like how it goes, like how does that, how does the court see it? If I had to go to court, if how I interpret it, what I would I be as close as to how the courts consistently interpret it? Like I have to do that checklist because the last thing I want is to be putting out information that people rely on and it just blows up in everybody's face. And yes, it's a UCC with everything. They treat UCC like it's some secret hidden supreme law of the land, like it's common law, when the UCC is nothing more than statutory law enacted by every state legislator, which governs transactions taking place in each state. That's all it is. But to them, it's some secret supreme law of the land, and it overdoes everything. And there's nothing about the supreme, the UCC that says you don't have to pay a bill. So I'm trying to get why they cite the UCC. The UCC doesn't say nothing about you don't have to pay a bill. It actually governs transactions when people have to pay bills. So I don't understand how that part gets lost in the translation. But welcome Ron Tizzle to the Stizzle.
What's happening, homie? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. We are multi-streaming. We are live on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at the New Culture Empire. We've been here for 324 hours. I mean, hours. Hell nah. 3 hours.
3 hours and 24 minutes.
3 hours, 24 minutes. We had a nice little modest crowd in here on YouTube today. We were just getting down to the final words and winding down and going over why if people wasn't in the tax class, what they would have to know. But regarding these securitized transactions, and as we will pick up tomorrow on that, and set use classes this week as well. So I'm just a very busy man, and since we're in tax season, this helps me a lot. Why y'all think this helps me a lot? Because it gets me in the mode in tax season. It gets my mindset in the range for tax season. I know I'm going to be helping people file tax returns this year for multiple situations, multiple different topics, multiple scenarios. So it just keeps me on my toes and grounded, and making sure that I'm providing the best service that I possibly can. I don't put myself out as to be a miracle worker. I can't create credits for anyone. I don't have that authority over the IRS. I don't influence them. But if I can't do nothing else, I can at least make sure that when we send our stuff out, we're following the rules. That I can guarantee. I can guarantee that the rules will be followed. The regulations will be followed. And our positions is going to be presented in the manner in which the IRS already says that they accept. See, I can do that. Time frames, I don't control that. 30 days, 2 weeks, I don't control that. I'm not the IRS. I don't work for them, contrary to popular belief. I'm not an agent. I don't work for the government. I'm just like everyone else. I'm just one man amongst 7 billion people on this planet. So always like to keep it realistic. Give everybody a realistic outcome of the system. And the reality is the system is filled with so many layers that you have no choice but to take your time and study because of the complexities involved. Yeah, I know in the group, there's always a twist and turn everywhere we go. There's always some wicked shit we uncovering. There's always some sinister shit that they doing. Prime example. Every time. Let me explain one of the wicked things. Whenever they book your, let's say whether it's your mortgage note or let's take to the mortgage note for a second. Now, we heard from a person that's responsible for processing these payments to the investors, works for Fannie Mae. And I talked about it before I got in contact with him, that the deed of trust has no value on the secondary market. The deed of trust is the equivalent of a used piece of toilet paper. But yet, they insert these deeds of trust for the sole purpose. Oh, yeah, good. Fat, you've been bad on stream. What are you doing, Fat? What you want now?
Hey Ron, can you mute your mic? Everybody except for Lamont.
Me and Bad Bad. Okay,
Well,
fat.
I can figure out. Let me see.
Just hit it's the mic button. Just hit. Nah, he's muted. He's muted. So, like the deed of trust, it's not anything that provides a security interest in the property. It's not collateral. Now, this is where perception of reality has to change because many people think that it is. But from behind the scenes, how they account for these things, your deed of trust has no economic value. So why does a deed of trust being shoved in everybody's face? Because it's one of the three prongs that I say. They use trust law to siphon our properties from us. Your deed, yeah, the air earlier, yeah. So your deed of trust has no value. Want to know why it doesn't have any value? Is because the deed of trust is filed with the county recorder. If it actually had any value, it would not be filed with the county. The deed of trust is nothing. The note that you're signing, it takes on many forms after you sign it. It takes on many different names. It flows through many different hands. And it's governed by multiple different regulations after you sign the note. Even when you're in a default, when you're 90 days past due, every time there's a default, I was about to walk around to there. Did they close at 10? It was only, look, I was into that last night. Yeah, yeah. So the borrowers are covering their own default. We go over Supreme. When you're in default, remember it's a pool. It's a pool of mortgages, not just yours. See, that's why that's what I'm saying. People that talk securitization. When people talk securitization, but don't understand the economics behind it, they miss many steps. Every borrower in a pool is covering their own default. This is why when you pay your interest, your principal and interest, it's being split up and siphoned into about 4 or 5 different accounts. That's why you could be paying on your stuff for 2 years and the principal balance rarely ever moves. See, I understand why these things take place. I understand why it's happening. Just like in a foreclosure does not mean that you did not pay your debt. I know from a legal standpoint, being sued in court, that's the presentation. But from an accounting standpoint, a foreclosure means totally different. It has none of the same meanings that you think. See, it's little stuff like that we go over that, like you'll see the other side of the system. It's going to be hard to see the other side of the system from what's being taught today. Extremely difficult. You're not going to see it because no one talks about it. And since these gurus, they want to come online and teach classes, go online and their TikTok lives, they never talk about it. They can't even tell you, what does it mean from an economic and accounting standpoint, from the corporate finance lens and the investor lens? What does it mean when a foreclosure suit is filed? What does it mean? They're not going to be able to break it down from the investor and the corporate lens side. They're not going to. They're not going to because they have no clue. Hell, I wouldn't have known exactly what does it entail unless I hooked up with the professional that processes these things. Because some of this stuff, it's about who you know as well. It's about who you know. We've been gracious to be around professionals who have elite knowledge of the system that share some of their knowledge with us. And we took that and we ran with it. But that gave us a baseline with the understanding. That's what set you brains and with this tax class that we're doing, because it's not just about 1 tax year, 2 tax year. It's about making these tax filings a way of life. as long as you're in the contract situation, makes a way of life. So let's say you're not astute enough to go into the courtroom, at least your taxes every year, as long as the transaction takes place, long as you're still in that transaction. So it's you got a double-edged sword. With that being said, ThomasLegacy603@gmail.com. We focus on everything from state court, federal court, common pleas court, county court, with all transactions dealing with mortgages, autos, credit cards, securitized transactions, lawsuits regarding mortgages, autos, credit cards. We do audits, documents review. Basically, if you already filed like a lawsuit or put your complaint together, part of the services I offer is we will review your documents and give you the pros and cons and what you need to tighten up on your document. Some people don't like the responses that we give from our documents review. Some people try to argue us down and tell us that we may be wrong, but the model that I use and the professionals who puts their eyes on it too, plus my eyes, we're not wrong. You just can't accept the reality. Anything dealing with finances, securitized finance, your contracts, your auto contracts, your mortgage loans, credit card loans, anything dealing with your consumer contracts, we are equipped to assist you in that nature. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to the Supreme Elite team. Shout out to y'all. We're going to tap back in tomorrow. Shout out to the New Culture Empire on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook. With that being said, one gone.
The best.
They studying the source now. Supreme Elite. New Empire talk. Came on reading numbers. They were reading memes. We was reading filings. Planning out the dream. Turn every late fee into case law heat. Judge bang gavel. He don't skip a beat. They like how you flip stress into assets. How you turn a loss into last check. Thomas took notes, broke codes, then he proved it. Now the classroom global and the language fluid. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. Supreme Elite team, university. Turn the credit score into currency. Turn the closed door to a first key. Turn the side job to a legacy. He beat odds, then he beat litigation. Now we teach law like a new translation. From confusion into consultation. From survival into foundation. They log in, lights on in their eyes now. Section this, call that. They reply now. He like, know your rights, then apply now. God, that's the real drip. Let it dry now. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the crew print. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. Wave it from the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan. From the bench to the block, he reversed that. Put the power in the pen, yeah, he burst that. Every mind that he frees, that's a verse that. Whole culture on the rise, you can search that. Hey. Thomas is the blueprint. Write that in the sky, let the blueprint. From the courtroom smoke to the new man. He designed the way we move our 2 cents. Thomas is the blueprint. Supreme Elite team, that's the school stamp. From the first lay bill to the full camp. New culture empire, watch the flag plan.
Supreme Elite team,
You're rocking with the best.
Class in session 2. We don't just read that fine print, we read bracket where it's done.